Alrighty, we're back for another Tuesday stream. So tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit less gameplay, a little bit more informational weekend review. Heading into Barcelona, Milwaukee, we want to make sure that the whole flex slot team is feeling comfortable on the decks we're playing, stuff like that. So the plan tonight is going to be looking at the information we have from Ottawa this weekend. I want to go over what I experienced this weekend in testing. I think that'll be really important. The changes I'm going to be making to Aurelia going forward, what didn't work over the weekend, what I liked, stuff like that. So that's what we're going to be getting into tonight. So a little bit less gameplay focused, more discussion focused, which we haven't really done before, but I think it'll be an exciting change of pace. So I'll try to keep it as exciting as possible, but that's what we're going to be going over tonight. So to start, here's the list I played all weekend. As you all know, this is kind of where I ended last week. Overall, I had an 80% win rate heading into the weekend. We had been beating up pretty much everything across the board, feeling pretty good in everything. Yellow matchups continue to be always kind of the tougher side of the matchup matrix. The Master Yi stuff I've been liking. Akali's been helping a lot in those problematic matchups that we had before. Kennen has been popping up as one of the more prevalent decks in the format, I would say. So I spent a lot of my weekend not only playing Kennen, but playing against Kennen with multiple decks. And I want to kind of go over where I landed after I got all that information. So, firstly, we ended here. I'm going to be pretty close to this, but I will pull up the list that I'm going to be working on this week. It is nothing too crazy. I think the biggest change I'll be doing is I am going down to a second GA instead of the 3 main deck that I had. What has been happening a lot recently, not only against Kennen, but even Rengar, Rek'Sai, kind of every deck. Guardian Angel isn't as good as it was back in set 2. So I kind of just want to lean a little bit away from it going into the first couple weeks of set 4 as tournaments start ramping up. One of the things that happened over the weekend was Goobums, who I've been following for a long time now. He played in Ottawa this weekend and had a 9-2 finish over the weekend. And if we actually look at his list, one of the things that he's also doing is he's down to 1 GA. Kind of what I was talking about was GA feels good, but not maybe as important as it used to be. Akali's been, I would say fairly hard to kill. Even the decks that have kill spells, like Kennen, Rek'Sai, stuff like that, I haven't really had her killed a lot. Maybe I leave her exposed because I have a second one in the back line, that's fine. But she normally doesn't get killed anymore. She doesn't really get hidden bladed. I rarely let her get culled, stuff like that. So we can kind of play her on that stuff. What keeps happening, though, is the problematic stuff like you get into combat, tap low, and you get star-crossed into the sky, right? Like, that happens. So Guardian Angel doesn't really solve that problem. So what Goobums is doing is they're low on Guardian Angel, and they're leaning more into, kind of the more mid-range stuff. Pike, they have Kha'Zix again. I know they're a big fan of Kha'Zix. I'm not really a big fan of Kha'Zix. I never was. I don't like units that... I previously didn't like units that recycled a lot, and Kha'Zix does. But Akali kind of fills that same role now, so it's a little unfair to say that. But I've been liking Akali a lot more than Kha'Zix. But Goobums went 9-2 this weekend. I don't remember exactly what they lost to, but one thing that they had that I really liked in set 3 was they had Pike again. One thing that keeps being a recurring theme in all of our set 4 testing is how much tentacles are around. So one thing that my list struggles with, not even struggles with, but what my list keeps happening is Treasure Hunter, really bad into tentacles, right? So we want to try to open up a range to be better into tentacles. So I ended up going up a Pike, and I still have the Tide Turners. I did test another 2-mite unit. I had 2 copies of Gust Monk last night when I went to testing, and it felt fine, but it did feel like I was choked on units too often, and I would rather be choked on spells than units a lot of the time, even though it does suck to miss your 2-drop. This deck doesn't always need a 2-drop to get out of those games. We've, on the stream and in practice, I've won a lot of games where I missed my 2-drop unit, but I'm able to get back into the game with maybe a big Guardian Angel turn or like a Kali getting us back into the game, that kind of stuff. So, Tentacle's annoying, but there's a shitload of them, so I have the Pike as another way to have like a mid-range unit that I can play on turn 1. Hey, Scurry, thanks for joining. So, the Pike that I'm going to probably be playing this week is another turn 1 play I can play when I'm going second. It'll help us check Tentacles. Also on the draw, historically, it's been like, or even going first, like it's a good turn 2 play. It's a 3-might unit, so like it walks over there 2-might units. It's been pretty good. Maybe I should pull this card up in case people don't know what this card does. Let me just pull this up really quick for people. Riftbound Purple Pike. This card does have a lot of text on it. But, alright, so firstly, it's got Hidden, which that's always a great mechanic in Riftbound. But it's also got this hidden line of text in here, backline, which doesn't really come up that often in this game, but when it does come up, it's like pretty impressive. Firstly, like the big thing is you can walk this around with tentacles, and your tentacle now essentially attacks for 4, and they need to be able to deal 4 damage total before they can kill the Pike. So if their 3-might unit is walking it, like getting hit by your tentacle and your Pike, they can't actually kill your Pike. Another added benefit of Pike is we randomly make gold, and as you all know, I'm a big Treasure Hunter fan, so random gold throughout any single game of Riftbound that I play ends up with stronger late game positioning. So I want to try to make as much gold as I can. I preface that a lot when I talk about Treasure Hunter, and why even though the card is not super strong, the 2 or 3 gold you can make off Treasure Hunter on turns 2 and 3 end up buying you a lot of energy in the later turns of the game where the games get a lot closer. So Pike is just a really good addition to back up not only Tentacles but also Treasure Hunter. You can kind of like make your gold off Treasure Hunter, Pike can follow it in, and then you can take down a 4-might unit with Pike and Treasure Hunter, and then you don't lose your Pike. That's all great. What's the chance we want to try to be clever and split some hiddens like Tide Turn or one of each Pike, Edge of Night, with switcher backup? So that's actually funny. I was actually going to talk about that, Skirl. So now one thing that I want to kind of pay attention to is one card that I was really impressed with in the past, where this tech kind of came from China, I think, but Edge of Night was a card that I really enjoyed. Edge of Night requires like a hidden, Edge of Night is really only good if you have a hidden target, like you can hide it, right? It's not a super great gear to play for 3 energy, but if you do get to hide it, it is quite good. Now, if we're playing Tentacles, you have Boots of Swiftness, which makes your Tentacles into 3s, but Edge of Night also makes your Tentacles into 3s, which has been great. I've been particularly impressed with the card Back Off. Added full 3 to Lilia, even though it's not a whole deck, but its Decree, its Deece is a hard test. Yeah, Back Off has been a pretty impressive card as well. I really liked it in Master E. Unfortunately, it's a little bit differently, where I don't really want to spend time on battlefields unless I'm losing. So in most situations, I want to hide Pike or hide Edge of Night and then flip it the same turn, like when I pass a turn and then get out. But Back Off is a little bit different, where I might need to hold it a turn or two, and I'm not really interested in doing that. But Pike and Edge of Night fill this really good role of being what a Pike and Edge of Night sound. Yeah, exactly. So Pike and Edge of Night fill this really niche spot of making your Tentacles and your Treasure Hunter slightly better, which is really important when our Treasure Hunters walk into Lonely Poros and die, right? But if our Treasure Hunter is attacking for 3 into their Lonely Poro, or their, Shadow Order Disciple, whatever the hell 2-drop they have, Treasure Hunter becomes a lot more volatile when it's blocking and attacking for 3. I've seen some very obnoxious play patterns with Tentacles that I love to take advantage of myself. Yeah, so I think this was maybe a week or 2 ago. It was probably 2 weeks ago now. I actually spent a night playing 3 main deck up from the deep, and that was when I had my Edge of Night, and it was really good in that version. That's actually where I kind of came around on Edge of Night in this kind of deck. Now, I don't have room for it now because that's kind of one of those flex cards that it's really hard to fit in the list. But if I end up finding room for it, for example, I have 2 On Guards right now, I could see trimming an On Guard, as much as it hurts my soul. I could see trimming an On Guard for Edge of Night. My guy played one of Stacked. So that's actually funny that you bring that up, Scar. So my roommate Drew, Chiron the Mage, if you remember them, this card is actually it's sleeper good, where when you're going second, Stack Deck actually opens up your range of keepable hands by a lot. Even though the card is not exciting, it increases your chances of finding a 2 might unit by like over 10%. If it's in your deck as a 1-of. Because now you're turning only 3 Pike or 1 Pike, 3 Treasure Hunter, 3 Tide Turner as your turn 1 plays, like turn 1 proactive plays, into Tide Turner, Treasure Hunter plus Stack Deck. That opens up your range a little bit. So you actually add like over 10% of... Again, I don't remember the math exactly, but Chiron the Mage, my roommate, did it, and it is like over 10% chance of finding a 2-drop when you're going second, which, like, to me, that's like pretty valuable. Now, I agree. I don't love Stack Deck. I've talked about it a lot in this stream. People have asked me about it, and I think it's just fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I would not cry if it ended up not making my final list, but this week I want to give it a shot again. As a newbie, seeing 2G also looks sacrilegious. Yeah, so I actually talked to... I have you written down, I think. But Goo Bombs played this weekend with 1 GA, and I also was a big, triple GA fan. But after thinking about it some more, Kennen, for example, is a deck that's going to be really popular, and they have access to salvage like multiple times in a game. So relying on a Guardian Angel to get you out of combat like safely is really scary, because if they have, essentially 9 Ponders, right, they're going to get to find their salvages a lot quicker, meaning that my Akali that's sitting on a battlefield holding a GA is a lot riskier of a play. It also essentially comes at a cost, right, because not only do I have to spend the 2 energy playing the Guardian Angel, I also have to spend the green to equip her. So it's kind of coming at a 2 energy, 1 power cost. Or if I'm spending that 2 energy, 1 power cost somewhere else, like maybe a Pike or maybe, a Defiant Dance or whatever, I can actually buy, combats that way as well, where I don't have to worry about getting salvaged out of a game. Now, that being said, I still love Guardian Angel. I don't think I'll be cutting it entirely anytime soon, but Goo Bombs had 1. I trust the guy a lot, and I think that I like 2, but I will say the Kazakhs looked insanely good. Yeah, that's exactly right. So the only problem I have with what Goo Bombs is doing, and this isn't even a problem, this is just a personality style, I think, where he has 1 Akali, so he has this as like a side dish, and as you all know, this is my main course, right? So it's hard. It would be hard to have multiple Akalis and multiple Kazakhs in the main deck. It's kind of like you probably get between 2 and 3 copies of a 4 might unit that also recycles in your list, and I'm just going along with all the Akali's main deck instead. That being said, I have played with Kazakhs in the past. It is really good. It helped a lot against like decks like Master Yi where you had trouble breaking battlefields, but Akali kind of like does that by herself now. So to me, it's less prevalent to have Kazakhs and just have more access to cards like 3 Ride the Wind, where Goo Bombs has 2. Stuff like that. Like, I find that a lot more valuable. You said you played Tentacles. Where was that version lacking? What was that version lacking? So it wasn't really lacking anything. It was just some games you just... I will say this. It actually was lacking things where, like, decks like Master Yi or Rengar, where you needed to assemble a little bit more might, those were more problematic. Where a deck like this, where I have more... maybe more tricks, or maybe like an extra gear or 2, like that stuff starts to add up pretty quickly. And my Pike wearing a Guardian Angel or a Boostless Witness helps clear a lot of the like rawest shit than Tentacles would ever do. Now, I still have access to my Tentacles in my sideboard because it is still one of your best, not only Call the Weak answers, but also it's kind of like, if they're playing Tentacles, the best answer is my own Tentacles, so like, that's kind of why I want to play it. If they have it and I don't, I'm kind of like... Because it's just so much value that it's hard for me to overcome that without my own copy. So I definitely want access to it still. But I definitely don't... I haven't really felt the need to go back to a main deck. Tentacles of Mask of Foresight deck 1. If you talk to Philly Cheese, he loved that deck. He actually did that like in set 3, I think it was, where he was playing Mask of Foresight in his main deck. And he loved it. I personally didn't, but he really enjoyed it. In what matchups do you side in Vex, and what do you side out? So, Burn, that's a great question. I think that for those of you who've been here multiple weeks in a row, maybe multiple streams in a row, Vex is kind of a new addition that was originally in the old list, kind of back in set 3. It wasn't in my deck, but now it's kind of back. And it's mainly for the prevalence of Rengar and Rek'Sai. It's mainly going to come in when I'm afraid of my opponent having like something like their multiple copies of ambush units or maybe hasted Rek'Sais are problematic. And what I'll often be doing against those decks are, first of all, Twilight Shroud will almost always come out against both of those decks. Charm is not particularly great against decks with multiple units. There's not really all of their units are pretty much like superfluous. Like they're all the same unit, right? I mean, like it's not like I'm trying to pick out a Kaisa from their backline all the time. Where if you look at like a Rek'Sai deck, it's like Noxus Hopeful, Broker, all these kinds of random units, and there's not really one particular unit I want to charm. So I'd rather save the power cost and often cut Charm. So my first two cuts are probably Charm and Twilight Shroud. And then, depending on the deck, against Rengar, I like Rebuke. Against Rek'Sai, I don't. So Green Decree is almost always coming in. Vex is probably coming in. I might be bringing in Starcrosser up from the deep. But my first two cuts are probably Charm and Twilight Shroud. That's a good question. But yeah, Rek'Sai is new to the... Or Vex is back new to the deck. Are there any battlefields in contention? Locked on these three. I've seen the one discounting power cost. So, the only other battlefield I'd really be interested in, I think, is Threshold of the Grey, which is, when you enter combat here, you get an extra energy. Now, it would be really good if I had Tentacles where I could, like, enter combat multiple times in a turn and, like, maybe make 3 or 4 extra energy, but in a version like this where I have a lot less... I don't go wide as often. It's a lot less good. True High Ground, Singleton stack deck, yeah. So you just missed it, but I'll kind of touch on that again. So the stack deck is like a mathematical inclusion. It's not really like because I just didn't know what to play. When you're going second, having a Singleton stack deck opens up your options of having 2-drops by like over 10%. So if you're going second and your hand doesn't have a 2-drop like this, and let's say the Stellacorn was a stack deck and you're going second, you can mulligan these 2 middle cards, cast stack deck, and then you have a chance of finding a second drop. So, or a 2-drop. It's like, it's not immediately obvious, but like when you talk it through, it's like, okay, well that kind of makes sense. So now, instead of having only 7 turn 1 plays, like that lead to a unit, I now have my Pike, my Treasure Hunter, my Tide Turner, or I have Stack Deck, which can also find a Tide Turner or a Treasure Hunter. So it's like, again, I wish I had the formula, but it's like one of those like stupid old I don't even remember the term, but it was like what the hell is it called? I don't remember, but there's like a mathematical reason why I'm doing it, and it's not because I'm just doing it for hypergeometric. Yes, exactly. So you have to like go through the math correctly with hypergeometric calculator and figure out like your successes, right? Because your successes when you're going first are just 2 might units. But when you're going second, your successes go from 2 might units and 3 might units to 2 might units, 3 might units, and stack deck plus 2 might units. So like, I wish I remembered the equation, but it's opening up your range by like over 10%, which when I don't feel like I have anything I need to get into the list, having one stack deck does give you like a little bit better opening, which against decks like Kennen is super important, where you're kind of under the gun to not let the game go too long, because if the game goes too long, they're going to assemble Baron on you and you're going to die. It's like percent chance of 2 might unit normally, plus percent chance of stack, exactly. Yeah, so I'm not a math expert, but my roommate Drew is, or like they're a rocket chemist or whatever the hell it is. But they really like that nerd stuff, and I don't. But they told me that, and ever since then I trust them, and I just go with the flow. So it's been fine. It's not exciting. I could see it being an Edge of Night because that's also another turn 1 play. But the stack deck's been good enough. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I could see it changing, but just by the numbers, it like makes sense right now. I think it's better than the first Mournful Witness or the first Gust Monk, which I have not really enjoyed. Alright. So this is kind of where we're at. Going back to Goobum's list, some other things he was doing. Again, he does something which I don't really enjoy, which is he has a shitload of one-ofs, which to me I don't enjoy. I really like consistency, but it does open up the range of things that he can cover. So, for example, having a switcheroo in your deck makes you slightly better against decks of Draven, where they could just make like a 12-night Draven, and that's a problem. But this is just 2 mana solve target problem, right? I swap their Draven with my Scuttle Crab, and their Draven just gets fucking blown up. So, like, they do increase their range of, like, being able to cover things, but I just don't like this many one-ofs. They also have this unique tech of Forgotten Signpost, which is pretty interesting. When it comes to opening ranges, GA also sounds solid enough to round out 2 drops, as is a turn 1 play regardless of player draw. Yes, that is true, but against, I touched on it a little bit, but against decks like Kennen, you need to be on the gas, because the longer the game goes, the worse your position gets. So, while GA is a consolation prize, it's not the grand prize. Oh, excuse me. Alright. Forgotten Signpost. This is a unique card. Let me just run through everyone through this really quick. So for those of you who are not familiar, this is a very unique card from Unleashed. And it says, exhaust the unit you control. Move a different unit you control to the location of the unit exhausted to pay for this ability. So what this allows is... like, you have your little signpost, right? This is your sign or whatever. And these are your tentacles in the back line. And this is your Akali. You can use your tentacle, tap it, and you can pull this back. And you can do that at action speed. Yeah, it's kind of like a smoke and mirrors. So, in combination with tentacles, where you're often going to have multiple tentacles in the back line, you can use signposts, like, as a way to pull a Akali out. Yeah, exactly. It's an action speed Siren, which, for those of you who've been here, I really like the Siren. I have it as a flash in my deck right now, but I do think that the Siren is a very powerful effect. And it is decent. But the problem is, to make it work in my mind, you need a, like, 3 to 4 card package. Meaning, you need Tentacles plus Forgotten Signpost. I don't think this card is very good unless you have these. So, this card I love... Up from the Deep in the sideboard. I haven't loved it in the main deck. I think it's a good card, but I haven't loved it as a main game plan. But these two in combination do, like, show me a semblance of a game plan, which does look very powerful. So I could see, like, this card being good, but you do need to make concessions, meaning I do need to play Up from the Deep in the main deck, which, as you can tell, I mean, I don't have any quote-unquote cuttable cards right now. My cuttable cards are this Hard Bargain, which I really like. Or, I mean, I don't really like it, but it's good enough. But he has a Not So Fast in my Hard Bargain spot, and we both have the Twilight Shroud. And I really think this card is important for closing out games against, like, Ezreal, Kennen, Diana, Mel. I think it's one of your best tools against them. So I'm not really interested in cutting my Twilight Shroud or my Hard Bargain quite yet, but we'll see where the next few weeks go. Maybe this week in testing I feel a little bit differently. But you do need to play at least probably 2 copies of Up from the Deep to make Forgotten Signposts, like, do literally anything, I think. Notably, another thing too, he's only playing 2 Scuttle Crabs, so I think that the hype around Scuttle Crab, I guess is a way I would put it, is kind of decreasing a little bit. People are maybe coming around to the fact that you need more muscle. They're playing a Gust Monk instead of the 3rd Scuttle Crab. They have the Pike main deck, so they're kind of bringing up their average might per unit up a little bit by adding this Gust Monk and this Pike. So that's going to help in matchups like Rengar, Rek'Sai, I mean, even like the Mirror, like that shit's important. I've already switched to Lonely Poro. Yeah, I mean, I like Lonely Poro. It's just like, for example, with Tentacles, with Pike, it gets a little weird where, like, I often find myself like, well, I can't really use the Lonely Poro ability because I have something following it around, or I need to, like, send the Lonely Poro in with something to kill it, and I'm not really interested in, like, finding myself in those situations too often, and I could see myself, like, getting put in situations where that's going to happen a lot, especially against, like I said, Rek'Sai, Rengar. I mean, Kennen, like, you need to be able to kill their Kennen on sight, basically, and, like, that shit could be a problem, I could see. So, I'm a little scared to play Lonely Poro, as much as I do love that card, but I am kind of interested in trying to get back to Lonely Poro eventually, but Treasure Hunter's just been really good right now, as, like, weird as that is to say. Alright, so one other card I've been really impressed by is Decree of Focus. So for those of you who don't know, this is Decree of Focus. So it's choose a friendly unit that is in combat with a red unit or being targeted by a red spell. So what this card does is it makes it so that, let's look at Prismat's list, for example. Let me pull up Prismat's list. I'll just go to Rift-X, actually. I can find it there. All right. So let's go to, this is not the right event. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So if we just look at a Rengar deck, for example. Now, it is funny because there's actually not that many red units in the deck, but there is a decent amount. So against Fair's Forerunner, Darius, Hopeful, Kaisa, Pike, Grim Apothecary, and Inferna, all of those cards are getting trumped by Green Decree. Now, unfortunately, that does mean that the other half of their deck, Pocket Cub, Nidalee, Kinku Initiate, First Mate, it doesn't do anything against those decks other than just target your unit, which does fucking blow. But being able to make your, like, Treasure Hunter, for example, if I decree my Treasure Hunter, it's a 5 against a Kaisa, right? Now, it's not hard for Rengar to get over 5, but the fact that I can make my Treasure Hunter, like, do something against Rengar is, like, pretty valuable, without it being Defiant Dance, too, by the way. Because this card doesn't recycle, which, like, is pretty nice. Another thing that is, like, pretty important, in my mind, is Falling Star is kind of coming back into the meta as, like, it was kind of on the downswing, but now it's kind of on the upswing because if we look, maybe he doesn't have a lot of Falling Star, but, like, Rek'Sai does, for example, play main deck Falling Star. So if we just look, they have 3 Falling Star. This one has 3 Falling Star. And one thing that Falling Star does is it protects your Stellacorn from Falling Star, even if they shoot both Falling Star halves at your Stellacorn. So if they shoot your Stellacorn for 6 with both halves of Falling Star, this makes your Stellacorn a 7, so it survives the Falling Star. When you're going second and your turn 2 play gets fucking Falling Starred, I would assume that you've probably lost that game. So now, being able to have the combination of Stellacorn plus Decree of Focus does make that less problematic. Now, we only have one Decree of Focus, so the stars have to align a little bit, but you do have that option now, which is nice. So, luckily this deck does also play Noxus Hopeful, a couple other red units, Inferno's another big one. They don't play as many red units, actually very few, but I would still bring it in to cover Falling Star, I think. It'll just be really decent in a lot of spots. I mean, damn, they only actually put 2 red units. That's crazy. That's funny to me. Anyway, the fact that it protects your Stellacorn from Falling Star makes me kind of give it the nod right now. There's just Falling Star's kind of coming back in, especially against like decks like Draven too, where Draven has played, like, let's just look at it. I bet you they play at least 2 copies of Falling Star. Yeah, 2 Falling Stars, and they play a decent amount of red units, right? So that's just another card that, like, pretty low opportunity cost to play it other than just my sideboard slot. It doesn't recycle. It's 1 mana, so it doesn't get much cheaper than that. And it will be very good in a lot of spots, especially against decks like Draven, Rek'Sai, Rengar that are, I wouldn't say necessarily super bad matchups, but more problematic matchups than something like Ezreal, Diana, Mel, where I have a lot of very good cards. I don't have very good cards against Rek'Sai, Rengar, Draven. Just all my cards are kind of the same, right? I just have dudes, pump spells, and counter spells. And all 3 of those are only okay. Like, Defy's, like, basically blank against Draven. Against Rek'Sai, I mean, you get to counter their trample spells, which is great. You get to counter Call of the Week, but, like, outside of that, you get to counter Void Rush, and that's it, right? So, like, I'm not really excited to be defying Blood Rush and Cleave. I'd rather just beat them with pump spells. I will defy Void Rush, but the problem is, after I don't want to counter these anymore, I'm now down to Cull and Void Rush. So, it's hard for me to have Defy in my deck against a deck that really only has 6 targets I want to defy. So because of that, I really need to lean on, like, my Stellacorn Herder to draw me more cards. I need to find more pump spells. I need my Irelia to untap the Guardian Angel more often. I need my Kali to untap the Guardian Angel and Boots. Like, I need to be able to, like, counter Salvage if they have it, stuff like that. So, like, these matchups are just, like, I don't have any all-stars in this matchup. Like, Defiant Dance is, like, my best card against them, but, like, even then it's, like, they go so wide, pump spells, like, Defiant Dance isn't particularly great. Random question, would you play Irelia if it wasn't Metal Best of eligible like he is now? So I actually got asked this before, and I think I would, because I don't play the game to win medal champions. I don't play the game to win medal cards. I play the game to try to win the tournament. And yeah, it would be sweet to like double dip and win a medal card and the tournament. But if I'm trying to win the tournament, all I care about is the trophy at the end. If Irelia is like the best shot I have at winning the tournament, I will play Irelia. That is just like how it works. That's just what I'm going to do. Alright, so, yeah, but yes. Long story short, I would play Irelia if it was still a good choice. Thoughts on Kha'Zix? So, Kha'Zix, the deck or the champion, or like the unit? The deck itself, pretty scary. The unit, I think, is good. The unit, I'm guessing in terms of Irelia, I personally don't love it as much as someone like Goobums, Deluxe Philly Cheese. I think probably Arito has it. I don't love them as much as they do. But I do know that it has spots, like it gets Master Yi, that it's really good. But with Kali, I personally haven't felt the need to have Kha'Zix in my deck as much as like I did in set 2. Or in set 3, excuse me. Let's see what... I haven't actually looked at Arito's list. Let's see what he's doing. He is getting lots of different stuff going on here. Interesting. Back to Purple Draven. Okay. But I don't love Kha'Zix. It's a unit that... you need something to run around with it, whether it's Tentacles or a Treasure Hunter or a Scuttle Crab. You need something to run around with it, and it recycles. So that's kind of two boxes I don't really enjoy checking. Akali checks one of those boxes, meaning that she does recycle, but she can win the game by herself. It's hard for Kha'Zix to win the game solo because he needs something kind of to get him started, meaning he needs something to run around with in the beginning. Akali can just get played, walk at a battlefield, and kill everything. Like, that's why I like Akali as opposed to Kha'Zix. So, Arito has some unique things here. Let's take a look here. He's back up Draven. Draven Audacious was historically very good against Miracle because it was a way to close the game. One thing that has really always been really good in Riftbound, and it will probably always be true, is ways to score points that aren't conquering battlefields and ways to end the game before your opponent expects it. So if you're able to go up from 5 to 8 and kill your opponent, that will take a lot of people off guard, and it's really hard for people to interact with that. So having this unit back does make sense. I personally am going to try to stay away from it because it is a 6 energy unit that has a recycle cost in a Starcross format. I don't love it, but as a main game plan, it's probably fine. He only has one Akali, and again, I want to make Akali the main course, where both Arito and Goobums are making it more of a side dish, which is totally fine. That's, you know, they're also very good at the game. That's just how they want to play it, and I just want to play the deck a little bit differently. One thing notable, too, about both these decks is they're only on 2 Ride the Winds, and 2 Ride the Winds has been, like, fairly stock in Irelia since, like, inception. Like, when the deck came out in Spearforge, like, there's almost always been 2 Ride the Winds. So I'm on 3 Ride the Winds, as you all know. I think it has been really good for helping matchups like Miracle, helping matchups even like Rengar, Rek'Sai, like as a way to interact on your opponent's turn in a profitable way is a really good way to make up odd point deficits. So if I'm down 3-4, but I'm able to take a point back on their turn and go to 4-4, untap for 5, go to the other battlefield, go to 6, like Ride the Wind is a really good way to get back into a game that you essentially had no business being in, right? Down 3-4 against Rek'Sai, they're trying to double score to 6, and I'm able to also score to 6, like the following like turn sequence, like that is humongous. And that's a really good way to get back into a game you were out of. So, looks like he's not really interested in playing 3 Ride the Winds yet, but maybe that'll change, maybe not. Again, another thing, both these guys are only on 2 Scuttle Crab, and they have 1 Gust Monk. So Scuttle Crab, average might of their deck has gone up a little bit. Both are not really interested in playing 3 Scuttle Crab anymore. Let's see, it looks like they both have 1 Starcross, where a lot of people had 2 before, so maybe Starcross stocks are a little bit down. Arito does have an Edge of Night, Goobums does not, but he does have that Forgotten Signpost. Guardian Angel count, 2 and 1, so again, they're kind of going down a Guardian Angel, like I said, a lot more the Starcross and the sideboard, yeah. I think they both have a Starcross on their sideboard. Yeah, so the Starcross on the sideboard is mainly for Aurora. But, again, Guardian Angel is becoming, like, less of a safety net than it was before because of how much Fizz salvage is going around. Like, even if you counter the first salvage, there's a chance that it is going to get, like, fizzed back and blow up your Guardian Angel, and then you're going to lose a combat, and then lose your best unit, right? So, you just kind of want, like, it's not that you don't want this card in a lot of spots, but you can't lean on it like you could in set 3, maybe even set 2, when there was a lot less Fizz salvage. I mean, Fizz salvage wasn't even part of the equation in set 2, right? Set 3. That just, like, wasn't even a combination of cards that could be played. So now that it's a big thing in set 4, it makes sense that we're getting away from leaning on Guardian Angel like we were in set 2 and 3. Both are playing 2 Boots of Swiftness. I think that 3 Boots of Swiftness, you'd have to put a gun to my head for me not to play 3 Boots of Swiftness, I think. I think that Boots of Swiftness, ever since I started playing 3 copies back in set 2, I will say this, when the deck first came out, I was only on 2. Eventually, I made it to 3 copies, and I've never gone to 2. I think it's the most important card in a lot of matchups, especially now where Rek'Sai, Rengar are getting back into the format, where they were already out. They were kind of pushed out before, maybe because of how much purple was going around. I don't know. But they were kind of pushed out before, and it is one of the most important abilities is being able to double score every single turn of the game, because both those decks will double score every turn. If I'm not double scoring and they are, I'm going to lose every game. If I'm able to double score and they're double scoring, I can maybe get out of those games, but I'm not going to win unless I'm double scoring like they are. So Boots is just your most reliable way to double score. I think it is important to have every game. Yeah, it's 3 mana. Yeah, it's a power. I think that it's just too important to have. I'm not really interested in cutting it. But there's no qualms. Like, I think they're both, they both know what's going on. They're both very smart. I think 2 is also defensible, but I personally will never go to less than 3. Now, when you get to play 3 copies, though, too, one thing that I do get to do a lot is I trim them in certain matchups. Like, for example, if they have Akshan in their deck, Boots of Swiftness might be the first card I cut, because giving the Master Yi deck Boots of Swiftness is awful. I don't want to put their 6-might Akshan onto a battlefield, making it 8, and give them the ability to gank. So Boots of Swiftness is a card that I will trim against decks like Master Yi, or make sure I don't play it out ahead of time, because if I play it and then they Akshan it and I didn't get any value out of it, not only did I just burn 3 energy, but also I'm just giving them stats for free. So that's awful. I don't want to put myself in those situations. So I'm definitely interested in trimming them a lot post-board, but game 1, I'm always interested in finding it. I will very rarely mulligan a Boots of Swiftness out of my opener unless I have 2 copies of my opener. So one other thing that it looks like people are still doing is, I actually talked about this on Twitter, I think 2 days ago, was I am getting closer and closer to cutting Stellacorn Herder. I'm not there yet, I will say that, but fuck, man, there are a lot of games where Stellacorn Herder just can't move. Miracle, for example. If they put a Ross on both battlefields, my Stellacorn can't move, even if it's wearing a Boots of Swiftness. So, I mean, yeah, if I, draw a pump spell, I can move in, but, I'm really rolling the dice to try to find a pump spell on my Stellacorn Herder moving in when I'm already down a pump spell, too. So I don't really want to, not really interested in make those kinds of, gambles. So I've been thinking about cutting a Stellacorn Herder, especially with, Master Yi is still a big part of the format, and Stellacorn Herder is not particularly great against Master Yi, because, again, if they just put a Poro on one battlefield and their Master Yi on another, they have a 6 and a 4, my Stellacorn can't go anywhere. So there are a lot of spots where Stellacorn is still really good, Diana, Ezreal, stuff like that, but there are too many decks now where there's just a lot of might getting put in front of you for cheap, where it's just becoming a big problem. Have you seen Coco's list? Are you does he have a new list? Let me pull it up. If it's the one that he's been playing, I think I have seen it. He has Mournful Witness in his list. I don't know if he has a new list, but let me just find that. I think this is the one you're talking about. If this is the one you're talking about, not the one from before. Yeah, I've seen this one. So, him and I think, look like we're both kind of on the same mindset, which is we want Akali to be more of a big plan than what Arito and Goobums are doing. So, he even has the Siren that I used to have in my deck, which is now a Flash for me. It looks like maybe he has made that change, it just hasn't updated his list, but I think Flash has been super good in a lot of spots, and I'm really interested in Flash. So I would probably try to find a Flash in his list somewhere. But he still is on Starcross tech, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. It was a very successful recipe in set 3, but as you can tell, Arito not going away from it entirely, but it looks like they're kind of, backing off of it a little bit. 1 Starcross, 2 Scuttle Crabs. It's just not as effective against decks like Kennen, where they're able to put 2 or 3 Rosses in play and then say go. So like Starcross is not really good in those spots, where previously set 3 was a lot about answering way in the back line when he was going to pressure you with Ride the Wind. If I'm able to Starcross the way that they just tapped low for, I'm probably winning that game. I'm buying a lot of time. But when they're playing zero energy Rassas, Starcross looks a lot sillier, right? I don't think it sucks to put a Rassa back into the hand they're just going to cast again. So yeah, I have Koga's list. I like it. I like a lot of what's going on. Like I said, I'm a big Akali fan. Trixie Tentacles in the sideboard, that's a really cute card. I actually tested it a lot in set 3 when LeBlanc was the best thing to be doing, because it could take both a LeBlanc and it could take both the Karthus and a Glass Mixologist, or it could take a LeBlanc and a Glass Mixologist. There was a lot of spots I really like Trixie Tentacles. I never ended up pulling the trigger, but it looks like he is, and I like that. I'm a big fan of that card. Let's double check the battlefields on that. I would assume that they're all the same, but let's just double check. I know Skura was asking. No battlefields. Hall, Peak, Targons, or Hall, Temple, Peak. Hall, Temple, Peak. So it looks like everyone's on the same battlefields. For what it's worth, I have talked to other people playing Aurelia in the past, and they're actually not doing the same what I'm doing. But that is, I'm taking Temple in the blind, I'm taking Peak on going first, and I'm taking Hall going second. I know that some people are taking Hall in the blind, and I think that it's a little... yep, Scar's just talking about that, yeah. So, to me, it's always Sunken Temple game 1, where they're most likely not going to be able to use it. I want to take Peak when I'm going first, because then I'm going to get to touch it, ride the wind, flash, whatever I need to do on turn 2, hopefully, and then buy myself time that way. And then I take Hall in the draw, because you don't need to own Hall. You don't need to have Hall conquered to get any value out of it. You just need to be on Hall. And then you can, on guard, discipline, whatever, and start getting pumped out of it. So that's what I do, but I know that, Jay, who's another Aurelia player, he's taking Hall in the blind, which I don't love. But, again, at the end of the day, what matters is winning. So if you win playing Hall in the blind, be my guest. That's what matters. So, yeah, so it looks like that Hall, Peak, Temple are kind of just the 3 de facto battlefields now. I know that before there was maybe 4 or 5. I was playing Aspirant's Climb. Some people play Arena's Greatest. But at the end of the day, I think it looks like all 3 battlefields are the same now. It does look like that Arito does have the Edge of Night, which I do like. I know we were talking about that a little bit earlier, Skura. I do like the Edge of Night. He does have, let's see here, he has an Abandon in his main deck. So he does have a 2-mana counterspell in his deck, which I think is pretty important. And he has a who's this? This is Goobums. Goobums has a not so fast. So both, I think all 3 decks have 2-mana counterspells in them. So Coco has 2 2-mana counterspells. Arito has 1 2-mana counterspell. Goobums has 1 mana counterspell, and I have 1 2-mana counterspell. So it literally looks like we're all playing different configurations of 2-mana counterspells, but I think whatever floats your boat. They all do have different situations where they're good. For example, Hard Bargain is often less good against cards like Punch First, which you can cast for 1 mana, but you will catch people like Master Yi who will use it as their 1 open mana and Hard Bargain them, and it does end up being good. Abandon is often better against Punch First in the random matchups where you get to make them pay 4 energy in 1, or 4 power in 1 turn to replay a Punch First, which is often very tough pill to swallow. Or sometimes they just don't have 4 energy, 4 orange laying around too. So, looks like we're all pretty much on the same page with our 2-mana counter spells. Obviously, everyone's playing 3 Defies. I think that card's kind of a... there's no reason to not play Defy right now. Let's see here. 2 on guards, 3 on guards, 2 on guards. So, anywhere between 2 and 3 look fine. I have the 2. One thing that I've really talked about, another thing I've talked about is how much I fucking hate Charm right now. Verdict on Crumbling Sands. So, I had a Crumbling Sands in my sideboard, and then it became the green decree. This is kind of where that Crumbling Sands would go if I had one. I have liked Green Decree more because I feel like I need more help in the aggressive matchups than I need in the blue matchups. Now, at the R cube, that might be different, where there's probably going to be a higher prevalence of decks like Diana and stuff like that, but right now there's just so much Rek'Sai and Rengar running around, I feel like I need more help against the red decks. Now, as the format kind of settles a little bit, Diana probably picks up a little bit, Ezreal starts picking up, and then Crumbling Sands becomes a lot more appealing. But right now, I've really enjoyed having the Green Decree. That card has just done nothing but impress me all weekend. Alright. So yeah, On Guard is another thing that we've changed the numbers on a lot. I'm down to 2. Looks like everyone's between 2 and 3 copies. How's Up from the Deep and Irelia feeling? That's a good question. So, as you can see, I think Goobums has also kind of came to some conclusion that it is definitely worth playing somewhere. Let's see, does Arito have it? Arito doesn't have it at all, and neither does Coco. So it looks like 2 of us are playing it, 1 and 2 of us are not. I personally have really liked it out of the sideboard, but I haven't loved it in the main deck as much, but it does find spots where I like it game 1, especially when you're doing something like Goobums, who has like a game plan of it with the Forgotten Signpost. But I do think that the card is good enough to have in your sideboard at least, because the best thing to do against a Up from the Deep is to cast your own Up from the Deep. Skura, when you sideboard, how many cards do you tend to swap? Like more 2-ish or 5-ish? So it'll kind of depend on the matchup, but I usually try not to sideboard more than a couple cards. And what I'll usually try to do is do one of 2 things. I'll either trim gear if I suspect gear hate, or I will cut counter spells. So for example, Rek'Sai, I will probably trim all of my counter spells and then bring in stuff like the 2 Vex. Let's say, for example, I was playing against Rek'Sai right now. I'd probably start by trimming all my Defies and my 1 Hard Bargain, bring in 2 Vexes, 2 Up from the Deeps, and then this 1 Decree. So I would need to find another card, and I would cut the Twilight Shroud. Now, if I got shown like a bunch of salvages, I would probably swap Charms for Defy against them, because I also don't love Charm against them. I think Defy is more blank than Charm is against them. So it's often less about how many cards I'm boarding, but what packages I'm boarding out, and it's often like counter spells, yes or no, and how much gear am I trimming. I will very rarely cut units. We already play very little units, so I'm hesitant to cut units a lot of the time. If anything, I'm swapping maybe Vex for Stella, or Vex for Akali, maybe, something like that, but that doesn't happen too often. If they show me, like, what would be an example? Like, there's a yellow card, I think, that just murders a purple gear. Let me find it.
The Yellow Decree.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Jack, for joining. So, like, if they showed me a bunch of Yellow Decrees, I would probably not want Vex in my deck. So, for example, Rek'Sai could have Yellow Decree in their deck, and because of that, I probably have to cut Vex. But I'm more often trimming packages of cards and less about, like, specific numbers. Yeah, Captain Jack jumps go. True. How's it going, Jack?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Wonderful. Thanks for joining. So I was just kind of going through the different Irelia lists that popped over the weekend. We had Arito, Goobums both had a successful weekend, and looking at what they were doing, and then kind of comparing to where I was at with my original thoughts, and then how close we all got. I think I'm feeling pretty good. We're all feeling pretty much the same vibe, it looks like. So I think Irelia is in a good spot heading into Barcelona, Milwaukee, whatever, Baltimore, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like there's definitely a lot of different ways to build Aurelia right now.
Yeah.
And as the think tank, slowly homogenizes toward one best build, we'll have to see what that ends up looking like. But one thing's for sure, it's going to have Green Akali.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I was just talking that Coco and I are both on 2. He has 2 Akali, I have 3. But both Arito and Goobums have 1 Akali in their main deck. And I think I am a big fan of making your main game plan, but it's clear to me that they are okay with it being a side plan, but I still like making it my main game plan. But yeah, that's enough about Aurelia as a focus tonight, but I think we wanted to talk about this weekend, and I kind of wrote down your notes here, and we wanted to talk about Ottawa results. So do you want to maybe drive for a little bit, and I will pass you the screen?
Yeah, I am happy to.
All right, here, let me share. Boom. All right, so you stream here, and then I will share. I will watch your screen, and we'll go over Ottawa.
All right. Sorry.
Okay.
Do, 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 do. Just go here. Alrighty. So looking at Ottawa results, obviously an incredibly impressive run by Prismaticism, single-handedly pumping the Rengar numbers into playability
right.
over here. And then the rest of the top eight had a very surprising mix. Three Rek'Sai, three Cannon, and one lone Ezreal pilot. And honestly, I think that says something important about the state of the game right now where we're at. And that is things are untuned and unrefined. And is it any real surprise that a really linear, aggressive deck and one of the more well-tuned things in the format, this Miracle Kennen shell that's kind of tearing it up with a strong early game, very tempo-focused, and then like a recursive late game, it's no real surprise to me that it's having a lot of success. So thought we'd get into some of the numbers and some of the other contenders for top decks and see how they did into each other and into the field and try and draw some conclusions ahead of Barcelona.
Yeah, let's do it.
So this was the win rate matrix from Ottawa, and a few things that we're immediately going to notice. There's a whole lot of red squares.
Yeah, for real.
This format is probably full of a high number of polarized matchups. I will say, it's not as bad as it looks. The way that Rift X does their highlighting here, we have some 42 percenters that are showing up red. I don't think they should. I know that you and I are in agreement here that Riftbound is such a skill-intensive game that pilot strength is really important. And if you see a deck that is anywhere in the 40 to 60% band, it probably all comes down to pilot skill and how many reps you can get into that matchup, how comfortable you can feel. And I think that means significantly more than, looking at a matchup and saying this is 43% off my, 15 match sample size over here.
Right.
And saying that's like an unwinnable matchup.
Yeah.
So, looking into it, Kennen had the most matches of anything in the tournament. Makes sense. There were 48 Kennens in a field of about 600 players, boasting a 57% win rate into the field. Not bad at all. 50-50 into Aurelia across 30 matches. I think that's not nothing. I think that's pretty good. I mean, obviously, as you showcase here on this channel, Aurelia is one of the stronger things that you can do in the format. And being able to have a reasonable game into Aurelia, and 30 is starting to get to a sample size where we can talk about it a little bit more seriously, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot from the Aurelia side, and I would say that any deck is that consistent is really scary to play against because the range of games that we're going to play are a lot smaller. Where, for example, if they have two salvages in their sideboard, it is fairly likely that they're going to find their salvages very quickly post-board, which means that I'm probably going to have less access to boots post-board, which makes it so that my best tool is not really going to be an option post-board, so I need to have that in mind when I play that matchup. And that's one thing that makes those matchups so tough is because they're so consistent, meaning that I'm going to be fighting a lot of Barons, I'll be fighting a lot of salvage, I'll be playing against a lot of Call of the Week, I'll be fighting a lot of Rasas. Like, it'll be very interesting to see if I can get that matchup to even 55%, because I know that when Miracle Draven was in the format, one thing that you could do against Miracle Draven was you were able to break battlefields pretty reliably with Irelia plus Guardian Angel, but Kennen with Call of the Week, Hidden Blade, Starcross now, it's so much tougher to assemble Guardian Angel plus Irelia plus cracking a battlefield that quickly.
I also think, unlike Miracle Draven, holding with large numbers of might is not a primary game plan for the Kennen deck. It's kind of like a last resort. I think access to Up from the Deep and realizing that your 2-drops are there to score a point, generate a smidge of value, and die is a really important thing. This deck is so much more attack focused than like that Miracle Draven deck was. Miracle Draven wanted to win combats and really get to no cards left in deck so they could cycle the most important ones as quickly as possible. The Kennen deck, much more about attacking. Having Assault 2 pretty much on demand is really powerful. And in some of the same ways that Aurelia suffers against permanent sources of might, the Master Yi legend ability, equipment, big Ferris Forerunners and Darius is on board. I think the Kennen Legend ability is in the same boat there. Having free on guard turns out pretty good.
Yeah, and you bring that's a good point too, because like even like my best units against Kennen are going to be Aurelia and Akali, right? And both those are broken up pretty easily by walking your tentacle in and just having access to Hidden Blade, Rebuke, Starcross. Because Akali, she has to be in combat, but if you just have a 1-1 tentacle hanging out, you're able to walk up my Akali and just bounce her. Like, I'm going to lose a lot of momentum that way, and Kennen having access to that, you don't even need to get big, just get into combat, and I'm going to lose a lot of the time. So, like, I have to play really careful against Kennen. That's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah, and so do you think that Kennen going after Aurelia's gear is a particularly effective way to approach that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the games I would be really scared of are the games where you're drawing salvage and casting it probably 2 or 3 times. Those are the games I would be really scared of, because the best games I'm going to have are Akali wearing a Boots of Swiftness, which makes my Akali attack for 8 into a Rasa, like from the backline. And if I'm not able to have access to them, and I need to constantly have a way to get my Akali over 6 might, that's going to be asking a lot turn over turn. So if I'm losing my essentially free on guard that we're talking about on my Boots of Swiftness, that's going to be a lot to ask for turn over turn, especially when it's going to be a lot harder for me to have a Stellacorn survive, or maybe even like an Aurelia survive when you're playing Starcrossed, you're playing, Call of the Week, Hidden Blade, whatever yellow cards you want. It's going to be really hard for me to have those 2 things going at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your Guardian Angels are one of your primary ways to fight against Hidden Blade and Call of the Week, and a couple salvages, it could be very difficult to play from that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's going to come down to a lot of like how much tire spinning the Kennen deck has to spend. Because like, having played a lot of the Kennen deck over the weekend too, if you don't have because the Kennen deck, if I remember, it only plays between 5 and 6 2-drops. So there are going to be a decent amount of games where you don't have a turn 1 unit. If I am able to get to 4 points before you're able to contest a battlefield, those are the games I'm going to win. But if you have like a 2 might unit plus an early Rasa, those are the games I'm really going to struggle against. So if you're able to like get your Traveling Merchant, find your Rasas quickly, touch Minefield, and have like a turn 3 Rasa, or like maybe, God forbid, 2 Rasas really quickly, I'm going to struggle with those games a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we're going to talk a bit more about Kennen, but let's talk about some of the other top decks here.
Yeah, for sure.
So, moving on to our next most played legend here, we have Aurelia, boasting a strong 55% win rate into the field. And most surprisingly about Aurelia, we're seeing even to positive matchups against all the other top decks up until you get to Rek'Sai, which I know historically has been one of Aurelia's, if not the hardest matchup.
I'm going to be honest. That 20% might be too high. I'm not sure, but that 20% might be too high.
It's okay. We'll double that sample size up to 30, and we can get it down to 15%.
Yeah, we can get that one. We can make that one a little worse. Yeah, no, it is funny too, because you're right. I think the biggest win for Aurelia, I have talked about a lot, and I think is evident in everyone's deck list, is Akali Silent. She changes the landscape in a lot of matchups. Not so much as Kennen, because they have access to not only Starcross, but Call of the Week, but matchups like Azir, Master Yi, Draven, where an Aurelia out of the backline was not a kill condition. Akali being a kill condition out of the backline is humongous against decks like Master Yi, Draven, where they can put a bunch of might on a battlefield, but if I'm able to have like a Defy plus an Akali moving in, I will break a lot of battlefields, and they have no recourse to that. Draven can have spinning axes and stuff like that, but with how much Ride the Wind Flash I have, that stuff's not even going to connect all the time.
Yeah, we can see that really highlighted here in the Diana bubble here on the win rate matrix. Aurelia was not safe in the backline. She could get Moonfalled in.
Yeah.
She could get Star-Crossed. Again, and I'm going to just beat this horse until it's dead. Small sample sizes, everyone. There were 600 players in this tournament. Yeah. But 71%.
What was Diana and Aurelia in Unleashed? You want to pull that up real quick, just overall? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah,
I bet you it was closer to like 55%. That was probably Diana favorite, I would assume.
In the Unleashed metagame across all matches, Aurelia was 49% into Diana.
Yeah, so very slightly favored by Diana, and that is about how I felt. So, yeah, Akali not being able to get pulled out of the backline changes the matchup landscape a lot, where Wei is not less of a problem. It's still very problematic, but having a kill condition that kills way out of the backline, and with more ride the winds now too, by the way, because now we're playing 2 or 3 ride the winds, we can actually run way down a lot too, even if he tries to run away. So having access to backline units that can't get charmed in is just humongous in so many matchups, Diana specifically.
Yeah, on that critical turn where they scored a 6, they post up on both battlefields and they make you answer the question, can you deal with this board? Akali is a game piece that can't be messed with, that says, I can deal with one of these boards. Or, probably both.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be really interesting to see, because like I said, I am curious as to if people are going to start moving towards more Akali Silence, and Irelia, or what, but I think that Coco and I are kind of on the right page, where he's playing 2, I'm playing 3, and I think more people are going to start following suit, because it changes things like Master Yi a lot too, which historically was a very problematic matchup, and that deck is still going to be very popular.
Aurelia caught a lot of her losses against really random decks. She lost to Vi 3 times,
Weird.
lost to Vex 3 times, lost to LeBlanc twice. Very, kind of just like, oh, I didn't expect to run into this matchup. I'm not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Make a critical mistake and lose, kind of.
I think what a lot has changed in the Irelia decks, maybe for something like that argument, is that they're kind of moving away from, some lists are like cutting Gust, for example. So, which Gust, when LeBlanc was super popular, was like one of your best tools. But like even looking at Arito, he has 1 Gust in his sideboard. Goobums has 0 Gust in his main deck and sideboard configuration. Coco has 0. Where Gust was like, I'm not going to say a staple, but was like probably a 2 of in most Irelia main decks and sideboards. So like those matchups like LeBlanc or maybe even Diana, they have gotten slightly worse when Gust was really good against those decks in the past.
Yeah. So, moving on to Azir. Azir kind of had a middling weekend. No copies in top 8. I believe 1 copy in top 16, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, ninth place, bubbled right out. Zemo on the Azir, and a 2nd copy in 16th. So, probably not quite what Azir would have wanted, but we're seeing even matchups into Draven and Aurelia. Even into Draven's a bit surprising to me. Draven was always quite good into Azir and got a really powerful tool in the form of Brittle Steel against what Azir is trying to do. Draven always used to play Thermo Beam, and that was, quite powerful in the Azir matchup. Brittle Steel being a more versatile, cheaper version of that, without the huge blowout potential. Curious to see why the Draven matchups even. What did Azir get out of Vendetta?
I'm looking at the 9th place list, and I see Hand Hammer, which is a 2 mana gear or 2 energy gear. That's great. That's the only new card. I can't see the battlefields here. I don't think you do either, right?
I don't either.
So
I will say about.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't think they got a new battlefield though, right?
No, the only new cards I'm seeing here, we got Handhammer in the main deck, and then out of the side, we have a copy of Crumbling Sands, a couple of Steel Paws, and a couple of Tomb Raider Barbaras.
Yeah, that card's bad.
I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to go on the record. I'm a Barbara hater. If your name's Barbara, I'm sorry. This card, terrible. When you need it to be Disarming Rake, and it's not Disarming Rake, on that critical turn, you're on 6 runes, the Aurora player just developed their Aurora, there's a dragon bearing you down, and you look at this stupid dancing crocodile, and you're like, oh my god, I can't remove the Aurora until they've put another dragon in play. You probably lost the game. It's over.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw some Master Yi decks doing the same thing too, and like that's exactly what I felt. Was like, I would want to, do some crazy things to myself. If my opponent Aurora put a dragon into play, I drew for turn Tomb Raider Barbara and wasn't able to kill an Aurora, I'd want to scream. So it is interesting because that's not the first list I've seen play Barbara. Maybe there's like some value to it that I'm not seeing. Barbara's cope. I don't even know why it was conditions upon conditions on the gear removal. I mean, yeah, I think Jack and I are both with you, Armcade.
Barbara is thick.
I mean, but in Azir, are you really you have a bunch of gear laying around. The difference between, 11 and 13 might, how much does that actually matter? I don't know.
Probably not a lot. One thing I really do like about this list, there are incredibly few power costs in this entire list.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Beautiful. Just like Handhammer fitting so naturally into the early part of the curve, normalizing all of your draws. I mean, You've got some hidden cards. I love back off. I'm such a
I love
back
that
off
card too.
glazer.
Yeah.
And hidden blade, and guards. You just never know what they put down here, right? Like,
Yeah. How many hit
and then the
cards?
arise is
Guards, backup,
8.
hidden blade.
Yeah, I'm
That's
counting
three
8 in the
different hidden
main.
cards. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's I think there's so much value for every hidden card in your main deck past the first one.
Mm.
Every time I was like designing one of those Akali decks, that we don't talk about anymore. I was really insistent that in addition to Emperor's Divide, you needed to have some back off, something to make someone think for a second, not be like, this is flash on suspend.
Yeah.
We need to think. Could this be something else that's going to be really advantageous for our opponent here?
One card that I've been really impressed by is that stupid cat, the sideboard deflect guy, Steel Paws.
Talk to me about that. I don't see the vision, and I want to.
Yeah, so I have been really interested by that card. When you're going second, being able to develop a 1-mana gear, activate your Azir, and have a second unit in your backline to pressure a double score on turn 2, I think is just super valuable.
So, what we have to do to mimic a fraction of Up from the Deep's power out of a green-yellow deck?
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
All right.
So
Well,
I like that card a
yeah,
lot. Also, having deflect on random units is never bad.
Yeah. So looking at the rest of his year's matchup pool, lost to Nasus. Interesting.
That deck's sweet.
I don't fully understand this Nasus phenomenon. I think that's like around the last decks that we're gonna visit in this discussion. So I'm very curious when we get there. Lost to Diana. That's also interesting because that matchup was like really 50-50 and Unleashed. Lost to Rek'Sai, completely unsurprising to me.
Did Diana get a new card that's good against Azir? I don't think so, right? I'm trying to remember what you gotten.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I liked the Azir matchup before. I thought Moonfall was a really powerful tool in the games where they were going wide. Diana got Porobot to make more of their runes available. Maybe that's enough. I mean, there were so many games I played against Azir where, like, if I had had just another rune or two, I could have won the interaction. But unfortunately, their Defy got the last laugh. So.
Where is the first Diana deck? Is it Diwali's? I don't even remember where Diwali plays.
It's Diwali. Yeah. Diwali was playing quite the list here. This is going to be an interesting discussion.
What place is it? I want to pull it up on my screen.
It is the 14th place Diana list.
Okay, I missed it. Okay. Got it. Yep, perfect.
And the next one after that is 32nd.
Rough.
Yeah. Tough weekend for the Diana lovers.
I wonder if Up from the Deep changed it, because he has 3 copies of Up from the Deep. I wonder if that is
in the side.
Yeah. I wonder if that changes the calculus a lot.
I need someone to explain this sideboard to me with 3 Sprite Fountain, 3 Up from the Deep. This is...
I like this.
I'm waiting for the guide to drop. I cannot wait to hear about the reasoning.
I like the sideboard. That's nice and clean. I like that.
You are a 3 of addict, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else to say about this Azir spread over here? I don't think so. I mean, odds are that Squirtle is going to win Barcelona with Azir, so...
I would not be surprised.
The old European three-peat.
Armicade says, I believe the Sprite Fountains are good in aggro, so I mean, maybe the combination of Sprite Fountain plus Up from the Deep is enough to swing the Azir matchup back to favorable. But that seems like it would be good, but I don't know if that would be enough to change the math that much, because, like Jack said, it used to be pretty unfavorable for Diana, and that's a big change from unfavored to favored slightly.
Yeah, I thought it was, like, just below even, and now it's, like, very favored, so...
Yeah, I guess I would need to see what Diwali is doing, but maybe he's just playing it weird. It's like 95% the Hartford list. I don't think he wants to show his Diana list for Barcelona. That would make sense, Sesseract.
I disagree entirely. It is not 95% the Hartford list. We're going to talk about it in just 2 seconds, but there is a significant amount going on in the Diwali Diana list.
I guess he doesn't. I just noticed he doesn't have Porobot or Swain in it, for what it's worth. He has no Porobot.
There's no Porobot. There's no Swain. There's 3 smoke screens. It's roughly nightmare fuel for an Aurelia player.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was expecting significantly more Aurelia. There's 2 5-mana Vex and 3 4-mana Vex.
I remember looking at this deck list now. This did cause me to shake in my boots. I do remember this.
All right, we're gonna get there soon, but we have to talk about eating our vegetables here.
Yeah.
Master Yi from the old faithful proving grounds. We've got quite the win rate here, 61%, best in the tournament. Are you even surprised?
I would say yeah, but I'd be lying. This deck just continues to be. I mean, what new cards does this get? It plays Steel Paw's main deck. Oh, the big one, the stupid
Onslaught.
Yes, the one that gives like +6, doesn't recycle, and has flow. That card
Primal
is just
Strength
crazy.
with flow and no power cost.
Yeah, that card is just so good.
Unfortunately, it's not the 4th, 5th, and 6th punch first in your list, but,
No.
but that card does some work.
They have the other fight spell too. They have Rampage. That card is also.
Oh, Rampage is nice.
Yeah, I played this list over the weekend, I think, and while I didn't love Steel Paws in this deck as much, it still did come up every once in a while. But Rampage and Onslaught were like two standout, like very good cards to me.
I am deeply confused why we're playing Legion Marauder over Pit Rookie, but there's surely a reason.
Oh, I didn't notice it didn't have Pit Rookie. Do they have Emperor's Deus, maybe? Maybe they cut Emperor's Deus. They don't have Emperor's Deus anymore.
That's correct. There is no Deus, but I just think Pit Rookie puts, like, your Master Yi Chosen to such an important breakpoint. Like, defending as a 7 into, like, a deck full of Rasas seems really important.
Well, that I agree with that part's true, but I mean, Rasa can be an 8 on command, basically a 10 whenever it wants, right?
That's 10.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Kennen passive, right? And then your last rights makes a walkover for a 10.
True.
Yeah.
That is true.
Rookie over Crab, IMO, Pytart. Yeah, that's true. I mean, fuck Scuttle Crab. That's all I'll say. We don't need to talk about that card too much because that card's awful, I think. But
Peter, hop in and talk to us about this E list.
He's probably working still.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I think he's gonna be another hour until he's on to talk Master Yi. But yeah, any other new cards here? We got our Steel Paws. We have this Legion Marauder that's deeply confusing to my very soul. 3 Rampages, 2 Onslaughts. Anything in the sideboard? Decree of Strength here for your Diana matchup. Got to take the Hueys, the Moonfalls, the Singularities. I guess you could take Rebuttal against Mel. That's pretty nice. 2 green Akalis in the Ruin Runner slot with no main deck Ruin Runners.
That is a weird. It's not weird, but not having a Ruin Run in your deck that is definitely a decision that this person made, which clearly worked for them. But I would be shaking in my boots to not register Ruin Runner. But I mean, they did it and it worked out. I don't like Akali as much as Ruin Runner, but I can see the reasoning behind it. It does let you break battlefields, which is something the deck struggles with.
Yeah, and then we have least favorite card, Tomb Raider Barbara, over the Disarming Ray.
Yeah.
Let's see. How do you feel about Repulse these days?
I mean, I don't know. I was never impressed with it when it first came out. I feel like there has to be something better you could play than it. Like, I would think I would want, like, the Green Decree or, like, a second Orange Decree of Strength. Like, I think I would want either of those cards before I want the first Repulse, but... Are they on 2 Defies main deck or on 3?
They are on the full gambit.
Okay. Yeah, because there was some lists that were going down to 2 Defies, which I found weird, but I think some lists were going down to, like, 8-4 on runes. Like, a list I played over the weekend had 8 orange, 4 green.
We have 2 Akshan. This Barbara's a little more forgivable.
Yeah, that's fair. As an orange fan, I've seen the cycle. I don't need Ruin Runner back to, Starcross. I mean, yeah, you and me both. As a current Starcross hater, I agree with you.
Yeah. Master Yi looks strong. Not unassailable, but strong. I mean, you can't walk into things that are face up. I just think that's the most important thing. Like, Master Yi doesn't have that much card selection. They just rely on, like, the numbers being in the right place. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you just, like, stay aware of whatever the worst thing that can happen to you is, I don't know. A lot of the time, I think this is a very manageable matchup for most decks.
Yeah, I think one thing that my friend Eric and I were talking about over the weekend, too, is, like, Master Yi seems like one of those decks that, like, if you're not playing at 100%, you're going to lose to Master Yi more often than you'll win, just because, like, it doesn't change too much. So I would not be surprised if worse players were losing to Master Yi that better players could have won. Yeah, they rely on the fourth punch first up the sleeve. That's true. But I could definitely see players who are not as comfortable in the matchup losing when they should be winning, because it does just.
Isn't it the fourth punch first in the lap?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It is. I don't think Master Yi is going to be going away anytime soon. It just got a couple new cards. It will always be good. The question will be how popular is it going to be in LA or Barcelona, and that is something I'm curious to see because I don't know if it can win the tournament. I mean, maybe it will, but I feel like when you're getting into rounds 11, 12, 13, your opponents are going to be a lot better playing against Master Yi than your first 10 rounds are going to be.
I mean, we should ask our teammate Joey about it, playing against it 7 times over the 13 rounds in Hartford.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun one for him, I'm sure.
he put on the Timo hat and was screaming about getting back to war.
The 5th time he played it, it definitely lost his mind.
Looks like Aurelia gaining some points against Master Yi, 42% across 19 matches from the Yi side.
Yeah, that's definitely a big improvement. I would attribute a lot of that to probably not only Akali, but I would need to look at some of the other lists, but I bet that Akali is a big part of it. And then some lists, if they're not playing Akali, they're probably playing Ocean Drake. And Ocean Drake is also good. Or I think it's Ocean. Is the purple one Ocean Drake?
The purple one is Ocean Drake.
Yeah, so if they're playing Ocean Drake, that card is also very good against Mastery. Not only is it big, but it also just answers their Mastery, which is like also a card that's like kind of annoying. So, for example, I'm looking at the 27th place list of Aurelia. It is nothing like Goobum's and Arito's list, but this is what some people are doing. Like Sequinox, I think, does this, where they're playing Find Your Center Fizz and have more access to repeatable spells, but then they have the Ocean Drake as kind of their finisher. And while this is not really my playstyle, it does help you beat up things like a Master Yi sitting on a battlefield behind a punch first when you just don't have to interact with it, right? You just get out of play and then you take the battlefield. So they're leaning more on the Star-Crossed plus the spells, and I'm leaning more into like Akali just clearing battlefields. Both strategies work really well, but you definitely need ways to clear like big units out of the way, and Ocean Drake just does it very well.
Yeah, definitely. I was playing some Draven early on in the format, and Ocean Drake was very impressive out of the Draven sideboard.
Mm-hmm, for sure. I think I missed your review of Goobum's list. Can you summarize your thoughts? Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but I think one of the big things that we wanted to talk about... You want to pull up Goobum's list really quick, Jack?
Sure.
He is the 15th place list, I think.
The king of bubbling out.
Yep. So, one thing to bring up with Goobum's list is lots of unique things here. First one being Forgotten Signpost, that's kind of the big standout. And when you're registering a card like Forgotten Signpost, that clearly is going to be one of your main game plans. So, paired with Forgotten Signpost, one of the best things to be doing is going to be Up from the Deep. If you're not sure what Forgotten Signpost is, it's basically Action Speed Siren, but you need a unit to pull something back. So, with Akali, it works really well. It lets you choose multiple units a turn. That's great. And then we're pairing the Up from the Deep with cards like Kha'Zix and Pike again. So now your Tentacles are attacking for 7 or 4, which is something that Irelia historically has like always kind of wanted. So that's why if you look, sublists of Irelia also play like Edge of Night, which gives your Scuttle Crabs or your Tide Turners a little bit more punch to them. And this is kind of in the same vein. You also have the Switcher main deck, which makes your Tentacle trade with their kill their Draven that's wearing a spinning axe, or make your Scuttle Crab kill a Mastery. Like, very good things going on here. But I'm not a big fan of the Up from the Deep main deck, and because of that, I wouldn't be able to play Forgotten Signpost. But if you want to play Forgotten Signpost or Up from the Deep, I think it is a package that you do need to play together. Now, with that being said, another thing that I saw about this list was he's playing 1 Guardian Angel, where someone like Arito is playing 2 Guardian Angels. And I think I talked about this a little bit ago, before RBK, before you got here probably, but if you think about what the format is kind of devolving into, and that is going to be Rek'Sai, Rengar, Master Yi, Kennen, Irelia kind of being the big parts of the format, all of those decks can kill Guardian Angel. So it's not really like you can sit your Irelia on a battlefield and hide behind a Guardian Angel. That's not really an option anymore. Not only can you get your Irelia Star-Crossed or Rebuked, but a lot of these decks, even Kennen, has main deck salvage. And they're just going to salvage you and then walk over your Irelia and kill it. Yeah, this is a list that I need to watch some VODs or run a bunch of games to understand. It's something very interesting. I will, if I have time this week, I don't know if I'll get time to get to it this week, but if I could test Forgotten Signpost, that would be really cool before Milwaukee. I might be able to get to it late this week or next week. But I would be really interested in trying it. In my mind, it seems really good, but because you have to have, like, let's just say a 6-card package, the Forgotten Signpost, the 2 Up from the Deeps, the Switcheroo, and the Kha'Zix, and the Pike, those 6 cards all kind of go together, and I'm not really a fan of playing that many cards in a package. I'm okay with, like, the cards individually, but the fact that I would have to register all 6 of them in the same deck, that's what I'm not a fan of. But I definitely understand why you start cutting GAs, even though I love that card. I mean, me too. In Atlanta, I played 3 Guardian Angel, 2 Zonias. I just think that was my favorite way to play the deck, but that's not really what the game you can afford to do in this game anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's the Goobums list. I love the deck list. I like a lot that's going on. Notably, he has an Akali main deck, and then a second one in the sideboard. Again, that card is just chef's kiss. Love it. Alright, so I'm not an Irelia kind of guy. That is fair, Complex. I'm sorry, but you were probably in the wrong place, because I will be playing a lot of Irelia in this channel. But feel free to hang out, listen to us ramble about Ottawa this weekend, but you might be disappointed if you hang out on this channel for too long.
So, just a few more decks to talk about.
Yeah.
Probably going to go down to, like, Rengar, and then maybe talk about Aurora a little bit. But next we've got Draven. 59% win rate across 200 matches. Not too shabby. One thing that is a bit concerning, the matchup spread into the other top decks. God, 35% into Kennen. I would not have expected that. I would think that Draven would be uniquely capable of playing into Kennen, because Draven's so good at producing large quantities of might and invalidating things like Rosas that threaten to be, like, even too big for Draven to handle, using Rebukes and Star-Crossed and the like. But, like, in a world full of tentacles and, you know, Kedens and stuff, isn't Ferris Forerunner king?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, too, because, like, if you look at Prismaticism's list, I wonder how many Ferris Forerunners he's playing. I don't remember, but that card is, like, very feast or famine, right? Where, against...
In the main?
1, yeah. So, like, Rek'Sai, Rengar, it's going to be great. Diana, Ezreal, even against Aurelia, like, it has spots where it's just going to get fucking balanced. It's not that great.
That was often the death knell for the card in the Unleashed meta. The prevalence of Star-Crossed really kept Ferris Forerunner, and as a result, the whole Draven deck kind of at bay for most of the format. It was really just seen mostly out of the sideboard for the grindier matchups or the non-purple matchups, because if you got your Ferris Forerunner bounced, I mean, it was just lights out. The tempo swing that resulted from that was just too much to overcome a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We do see the second and third copy of Ferris Forerunner in the sideboard for Prismaticism's Rengar list. So, I mean, the card's still very strong. I mean, Wormcoil Engine is a force to be reckoned with here. But you just got to be careful that it's not getting bounced and you're not getting time walked.
Yep, exactly. He said it's 2 different forerunners. Yep, I watched the best of Draven deck tech. He said he felt he had no agency going into Kennen, thought it was basically dependent on how many Nocturnes Kennen flips. I could definitely see that being an issue. Not only because your best tool against decks like Kennen will probably, I would assume, are probably going to be like Spinning Axe, and the fact that they can just invalidate Spinning Axe pretty easily is probably going to be problematic a lot of the time. Not only do they play Salvage, Hidden Blade, Star-Crossed, they're going to be able to get a unit holding a Spinning Axe out of play pretty regularly, I would say. And they can just make a Rasa, like 8 or 10 might, and just walk over your guy holding a Spinning Axe anyway. So I would not be shocked if that matchup stayed bad. That does not surprise me one bit. I've watched that matchup played from the Draven side, and it did not look particularly good.
It does make sense to me that Draven would say that they didn't have agency into the Kennen matchup, and it was depending on how linear their draw was. I think Draven really needs to get situated for a few turns, and, you know, if Kennen just presents up from the deep on 1, double scores, and says, okay, you're going to take one of these battlefields, you're going to draw a card, and then I'm going to counterattack and take it back, like, I think that is significant. Like, what do you do as Draven? You're under such enormous pressure. On the turn, you want to put, like, a Kaisa in play or something. You feel like you're already on the back foot because, you know, you are getting seeded a card, but you're going to lose your turn 1 play for a legend ability. That's it. Like, I can definitely see it.
I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back. You keep going, though.
No worries. I'll wax poetic about
Yeah.
my favorite spinning axe legend. So in addition to a 35% matchup into Kennen, 42% into Aurelia, that definitely is reflective of how we saw that matchup go in set two. That matchup continues to be very hard. Back when I was playing Draven, I acknowledged, I was like, we're not going to beat Aurelia the fair way. And I made my game plan into Aurelia very straightforward. We're trying to assemble A plus B. A is Brynhere, B is either Switcheroo or Rebuke. We are trying to invalidate one Aurelia to score our 7th and 8th points, and we will throw away any number of resources to get those first 6. Would be interesting to see the win rate when you won the coin flip and went first game 1 as well. Yeah, I mean, you might not have been here when I was talking about it earlier, Telos, but this is, for as great as this win rate matrix is, it still represents just a slice of a small data set. And looking at just Draven into Aurelia is only 12 matches. We're not seeing the full picture. We don't understand everything that's happening, but we're trying to glean as many conclusions from it as we can. Draven into Azir being 50-50, that does not bode super well for Draven. That matchup used to be significantly more favored from the Draven side, just presenting units that were bigger than the 2 Might Sand Soldiers with the gears on them, disrupting using various gear removal, and we would think that the addition of Brittle Steel would make this even better, but 50% over 18 matches, that is concerning from the Draven side. 44% into Master Yi, also not the best. People are very polarized on how they thought that matchup was before Vendetta. A lot of people would say that Draven was favored into Master Yi. I didn't find that to be my experience, but I'm a renowned Master Yi hater. Problem with Azir is it's all gas, no brakes. True. Well,
I think it's changed a little bit. Back off helps a lot with the brake department.
Yeah,
I used to agree with you, but being able to play defense with a back off or a guard's hidden, and part of why I love Ripbound is hidden cards make the game very deep. I'm talking about Azir. I thought you were talking about Azir. Sorry.
I was talking about how it's concerning that the Draven Azir matchup was only 50-50 because Draven used to be favored into it, and being 50-50 in that matchup is not a good look for Draven.
Sure, I would agree with that. How many thermo beams do you think the average Draven players are running now?
Oh God, with Brittle Steel and Ravenbloom Prefect filling those slots, right? It's got to be 0.5 on average or something. We can take a look here. Filtering to Draven lists, we got our 10th place list that has. Sorry, pictures are easier. None.
Whoa! I saw Boots of Swiftness. I love that card. So no more purple decks need to play that card.
That True. 21st place has none.
So it looks like the average is 0.
Not looking so good. We're missing the 34th place deck list.
Yeah.
We'll stop after this 48th one, but we'll take a look-see.
Yeah, okay.
0. Yeah, it's looking an awful lot like 0. People look at Brittle Steel and Ravenbloom Prefect, and they're like, oh my goodness, that card's not 5 energy and 2 power. And they're right about that.
Yeah, I bet you the change from Thermo Beam to Brittle Steel has changed the texture of the matchup a lot. Because I know, for example, it changes the Aurelia side of the matchup for not only Draven, but Kaisa, for example, where I would be conscientious about getting Thermo Beamed and walking into it and try not to let that happen. But Brittle Steel is just hard to play around, so you kind of just have to lean into the skid and I just have to kind of get all my gear out there and then I don't have to keep spending mana on it. Where if I don't have to worry about getting Thermo Beamed. Brittle Steel is just going to happen. Every Red X probably going to have access to it. I'm probably very rarely defying Brittle Steel because you get 2 shots at it. But I would counter Thermo Beam, I would say probably 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, exactly, Captain Complex Messiah. Yep, exactly. I'm very rarely, if ever, defying of Brittle Steel. But I would 100% of the time counter a Thermo Beam if I could.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, being even to negative into these top decks, quite concerning for Draven. Really did a number on my consideration of the deck as something to play for Barcelona. We do see, great numbers into, as soon as we start getting outside those top decks. Nasus, Diana, Rek'Sai, Ezreal even, which is somewhat surprising. That was a miserable matchup before.
Why is it so bad for
Lilia.
Draven? They just have like too much removal. I guess I don't understand why it would be bad for you.
Yeah, they overload your threats with their removal, and they lock you out, and they don't present you with combats to recoup.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're not able to draw cards because they don't interact with combat. That makes sense. As soon as you said that, like, yeah, actually, that would probably change the texture of the matchup a lot, where you're just playing with your hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, as soon as we get into these like less polished decks, Draven starts revving up those spinning axes and going to town.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
you gotta get this 59% win rate somewhere.
Yeah, I think one thing that I like by looking at all this data is, I think a lot of people have kind of figured this out, but it's really interesting to see how bad Akali did.
We don't have to talk about it.
I literally just saw it at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if I've ever seen a deck that was hyped up so much to just get dunked on later. Which sucks too, because like looking at the Akali, I mean even Jack and I were like, dude, this deck's fucking broken. Like, who doesn't love drawing 4 cards of Stellacore? That sounds sick. Well, you know what's really good? What's really bad about drawing 4 cards of card with turn with Stellacore? You don't conquer. So like,
hold on, let's own up to a mistake real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so we put it together.
No, that's hilarious. No.
Vendetta week 0.
Oh,
you know the important part about week 0? Week 0 means that not a lot of matches have been played.
Yeah, true.
Our claim here is we played more matches than Argentina took shots on goal. Let me tell you, that's not a positive number.
Argentina did not take many shots.
They took it 0, in fact.
Yeah.
And we did play more than 0 matches.
Yeah.
And Akali did look very promising early until we pitted her into some matchups where you need to hold for the last couple points. And dear God, this deck leaves it all on the table. And by the table, I mean vulnerable on a battlefield ready to die. If you aren't outvaluing your opponent to such a ridiculous degree, or if they realize that they just need to like build in base for a turn, this deck can attack, it cannot defend. And that is reflected here in the 41% win rate. We saw over 114 matches on the weekend. That's brutal.
Yeah, that is just not a good number. And like, Jack and I were really excited about this deck too when it came out, because like you look at a deck list, like, damn, this deck looks sick. Like, you're making so much mana or so much energy off Jhin. Your falling stars are costing you no runes, but then you realize that you're at 0 points and your opponent's at 4, and you're dead in 2 turns.
Like, 15% win rate of Akali into Kennen over 13 matches. Is that 2 wins?
Is that 2 and 11? That'd be my guess.
2 over 13. No, that's 15. Yeah, that's 15%.
Yeah.
They won 2 out of 13. Oh my goodness.
That is a large discrepancy.
And 13's like not like 6 matches, and it's like they went 1 out of 6. No, this is 2 out of 13. Dear God.
Yeah.
I'm so sad. I really, really wanted to love Akali. I went through like 6 different Akali deck lists. I spent more time than I should have, if we're being honest. Listen, I was ready to pull out some technology. Have you guys seen this Origin staple block?
I do love this card.
Oh my God.
I registered this card once in Master D. It was sick.
Akali deck can't hold. Let me show you the holding card. Yeah. This is the one.
Complex Messiah says the Akali was assessing from Barcelona, and the hold is fixable, but it's very annoying. If you get points early, she's unstable. I would agree with you. I mean, if you ever untap with a Stellacore and you're like even or ahead on points with Akali, you're probably not losing. Like, I'd be shocked if you lose those games. I mean, sure, it can flip. That card alone is just like, I mean, you know how powerful Ride the Wind is. Imagine Ride the Wind plus Shock, right? Like, that card's just fucked up. So, like, the fact that you need to be ahead on points, though, for the deck to be really good does make me concerned at the longevity of the deck. Now, that doesn't mean it's unplayable. You can still play it.
I stopped putting effort into it by the time that I realized that the optimal play pattern for the deck was conquering one battlefield, Shuriken flipping into the other one, and using the legend ability to turn the Shuriken flip into a flash. Sure. At that point, I realized this is probably not a good thing to spend more time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Anywho's.
So, yeah, next up we have Nasus, I think, right?
Nasus. Yeah, Nasus, and then a very interesting 2 decks after that in Diana and Rek'Sai. But let's talk about this Nasus thing. 'Cause I don't get it.
Yeah, so I mean, let's pull up the deck list. First of all, any deck that plays Astral Heron, I guess, I haven't even looked at the deck list. This one doesn't play Astral Heron. That's crazy to me. But 2 copies of Sprite Queen, that's awesome.
Neither of them play Astral Heron. They went 22nd and 23rd. 0 Astral Heron.
That's wild to me. But regardless, the deck itself, like when I look at this deck, it looks like a set 1 deck list. Like, very good, just lots of solid decks, like solid units, and then 3 on guard, 3 discipline, 3 defy. I'm fucking sold.
It's like it's set 1 Ari.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like being, it's like this looks like set 1 Ari, set 1 like mid range mastery, like whatever, and like I'm here for it. I love those decks. The Nasus deck is up in the air. There's 2 main lines of thing. I can see that. But like the Nasus unit itself is like also like pretty impressive. I played against an Nasus deck once on stream, and like they like put up a really good fight. Sprite Queen is really interesting technology though. I'm not really sure what that's doing, especially when you're not playing Astral Heron. I wonder if this card is just like your anti-aggro card, but any deck that gets to play Vilemom is a fucking okay in my book. I love Vilemom.
I love Vilemom too, but God, getting to large sums of fight is so easy right now. Like, Vilemom is like the anti-swarm card. The game is so not about swarming right now.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Well, it's
Also,
funny. Like, it would probably be really good against Rek'Sai, right? I guess Rek'Sai can just fucking hit and blade it, but
yes, in theory, a deck like Rek'Sai it would be good against.
yeah.
The top Nasus guide is so troll. The organizers forgot to post his deck list, so he made a metafy with only his deck list and charged people $5 for it. Some dude bought it and shared it with everyone in the Nasus channel. That's hilarious.
That's tragic, honestly. That is funny, but it's tragic.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a number of lessons to be learned by any
face-to-face?
showdown series organizers after face-to-face weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, neither of them playing
talk too
Astral
much
Heron
about
is really surprising me, because I've seen it in a lot of these Nasus decks, and that card is really impressive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Nasus got dunked by top decks, except for Azir, interestingly.
Yeah.
Did well into Azir. It just got bodied all over the place. I mean, 52%, where was it getting its points from?
100% of the Diana doesn't hurt.
Yeah, did well into LeBlanc, across, like...
Lots of mid matchups, like that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to lose to this before I believe what they're selling.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, one of the most interesting results of the weekend so far, Diana, with a win rate of 50%, notably less than Nasus.
Notably, yeah, true.
One of the format pillars from Unleashed, reduced to lower than the dog. So, what got Diana put in the doghouse here? I mean, we have the list that we went over briefly earlier from Diwali, where very teched against Aurelia, it seems like. 3 Smokescreen, 2 Vex Cheerless, 3 Vex Apathetic, down to 6/2 drops, which is like really a mentality shift for this deck. Of, you know, this is no longer playing for tempo. This is playing to win trades. Like, do you care if you get the first point? No. You care that you get the last one. We're giving up some of that equity in the early game. There's no Poro bots here. There's no Raven traveling merchants. We're all in on, you know, we're gonna get into a showdown and we're gonna win it by any means necessary. And it is going to be costly for you. We've got hard bargains for when things are going well and we need to push our advantage. We have Flash to bail out when things are going badly. We have Vex to make everything you do cost another power. You're not going to walk out okay going into combat against this deck.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why... this is Diwali's list, or is this a different one?
This is the Diwali list.
Yeah, so maybe Diwali just didn't try it, or maybe he's saving it in his back pocket for Barcelona. I'm not 100% sure, but the fact that it doesn't have Swain Porobot is kind of like a... Maybe it's a... Just didn't like it, it cost too many slots, Vex was going to be better, I'm not 100% sure, but it is interesting. What's the next Dyna deck? Does that one have Swain Porobot, do you know?
32nd place. No Swain Porobot.
I watched.
It is similar, but we're back up to 8 2-drops. We're down to 1 Vex Tearless. We're down to 1 Flash. We have our main deck Turn to Dust. We have a main deck Rebuke. We have 2 main deck Up from the Deeps. I like this one better off the rip. I mean, the Dwali list, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This is extremely targeted. I think this is probably more of a generic list.
Yeah,
And something that I would be a little bit more likely to register into a wide open field. And I think that I'm gonna go on a small tangent here. I think it cannot be stated enough that Riftbound is a game where your prep will only go so far. There are 49 legends in this game. And you have reasonable odds to run into almost every single one of them at a tournament of any reasonable size. And I think that's incredible. Like, best ofs being an incentive to dust off your Renekton's and get out there and fight the good fight. I think that's awesome. But also it does such interesting things to prepping for large events. I mean, myself and a couple of my teammates are going to be battling Barcelona in a couple weeks here. And we have a finite amount of time between now and that tournament. And you have to pick and choose the matchups that you need to prepare for. And even when you've made those determinations and you've put that time in, you can run into anything. I played against an Ari in Atlanta at the RC earlier this year. Did I prep for Ari? Absolutely not.
You don't do your
Did
weekly
it go
Ari
okay?
prep? What the hell?
I'm lacking. Nah, but I think that's awesome. And you can be super targeted in these deck lists. I played a Diana Mirror in Hartford against one of the disguised guys, and he was super teched out for the Diana Mirror and for the Master D matchup with a bunch of smoke screens and Vex Cheerless, and you can go into a tournament, with a plan like that of targeting a couple decks with some of your decisions, and then you could never run into it. Obviously paid off well for him in that he found the Diana Mirror, although he did not win that one. But it is so interesting. All right, tangent aside, /end. But yeah. Oh, Diana had a rough weekend. Why? Let's look at the matrix here. So Diana really suffered into Aurelia. I bet the addition of Akali did a number on this matchup.
I would assume so, yeah.
Can't Moonfall the Akali in, then the Akali comes and absolutely ruins your day.
I bet you the Crumbling Sands tech is hurt too, and Up from the Deep probably doesn't help.
Crumbling Sands is at its absolute best against decks like Diana.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a huge Crumbling Sands believer. The cards that I want to counter in Defy decks that are thinking about playing Crumbling Sands are frequently not going to be able to be countered by Crumbling Sands. I think about cards like Singularity,
True will cannot be
Thermo
defeated,
Beam and Time Warp. Things that are multiple energy or multiple power and high energy investments, and usually they're the only spell or the first spell of a turn. And I think it's very rough to look at Crumbling Sands in those spots. And so I've been really pushing, when we've gone over all these Aurelia lists that Shauna's been working on, I've been pushing Not So Fast over Crumbling Sands a significant amount of the time, because the spells that we want to counter, I'm just not sure that they're not going to be the first spell of the turn.
Yeah, I guess it'll just kind of depend on what the texture of the matchup's starting to look like, because in my mind, a lot of games I would lose are games that are going to start with a Moonfall plus a smoke screen, right? And I'm probably fine letting the Moonfall go, but I need to be able to counter the smoke screen is probably what it's going to be. Now, that just means that, again, in that scenario I just painted, we are leaving our unit on a battlefield exposed, or they're pulling in our backline unit that isn't Akali, and those two exact scenarios are a really easy way to lose to Diana, where a situation where I'm going to win are where Akali's in the backline attacking both battlefields and backing off. So, I don't know. It's really interesting because, they both, while Not So Fast and Crumbling Sands do different things, I would be concerned about me holding them Not So Fast and then them just having 2 Star-Cross or 2 Rebukes or something. And that's what I'm kind of concerned about too. So that's why I'm a big fan of Twilight Shroud and not So Fast. Not
I do think
2-mana counter spells
not
against
not so fast.
Yeah,
Double
exactly.
negative.
Yeah.
I do think Crumbling Sands is at its absolute best against Diana. The spell slinging deck, like this is where you want to see it. Probably against
So
Kaisa as
that's
well.
true. Yeah.
But you know, she suffered. Aurelia. I mean, small sample size.
Yeah.
We're gonna ring that bell once again. But 15 matches into Kennen, 40%. That's not promising. I kind of would have thought that Diana would be okay into Kennen. All of the swarm type end game plans where you attack with like a bunch of Baron empowered tentacles into like a Hui to try and like end the game and get blown out by a Moonfall. Like it kind of feels like Diana would be advantaged in those spots. I played Kennen at the local shop last Friday, and the only game I dropped that evening was to a Diana player that stuck a purple Kha'Zix on a battlefield, and I looked at my hand. It's like a little bit bricked, I will admit. It was like double Rasa with like only 4 cards in the trash or something, but I just looked at this Kha'Zix and I was like, I am never getting over that.
I wonder.
Not
Yeah, go ahead.
not by the time it matters. That was the end of that thought.
I wonder if a big part of the matchup is just like how many times can they play Rasa? Where like Diana can probably beat like 3 Rasas. I bet they can't beat 5. You know what I mean? Like that's like the same reason like Kaisa has the same problem in the matchup. Is like I could singularity down 2 Rasas probably once, maybe twice a game and clear 4 Rasas. There's probably no way I'm killing 7 Rasas, right?
Yeah, Diana also suffers a lot to cards like Gust and Starcrossed. Those were very effective tools during Unleashed against Diana. Getting your Hui Starcrossed the turn you play it was particularly brutal. And Kennen is an extremely good Starcrossed deck.
Yeah.
Turns out when you have 6 tentacles waiting in the back line, it's okay to go down to 5.
Yeah, 9 Ponders to find your Starcross and then Fizz to Snapcast them back, yeah. Not surprising at all.
Tough scenes, 70% into a Zir. That's pretty nice. That's better than it used to be. In Unleashed, what was it? 50-50? Yeah, so we'll see if that ends up continuing as a trend. But rough weekend for Diana. Got brutalized by Draven. Did not win a match into Nasus or Rek'Sai. Tough scenes.
Yeah, complex. So when you shoot through 60% of your deck in 3 turns, you're okay. I would agree with that. Yeah, when you get to look at on average 5 cards a turn, probably pretty safe.
Absolutely. All right, one of our breakout decks of the weekend, Rek'Sai, 60% win rate across 161 matches, and not a horrible spread into the top decks either. Ever so slightly favored into Kennen, but within a margin of error of even. Really, really positive into Aurelia. If you've been watching this channel for any significant amount of time, you know that's the truth. Positive into Azir, I'm not entirely surprised by that. You're wider and you're bigger. Like, I would really, as a Rek'Sai player, only be afraid if Azir threw like 4 equipments on a token.
I wonder how many like salvages these guys are playing. I was looking at Rek'Sai lists earlier. Some lists aren't playing Falling Star in the main deck anymore, but I bet you like some number of like they're probably playing Brittle Steel. This list has, the list I'm looking at right away, 2 Brittle Steels. Against the odds is probably fine. Brittle Steel's a big one. Decree of Rage is going to be good, because Sand Soldier's green or yellow? I would assume they're green.
Do they have a color? I don't think they have a color.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe they don't.
Because it doesn't say like a green Sand Soldier token, right?
Okay. Maybe. They're colorless, Natalie says. Alright, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's how I passed my L1 judge exam.
Alright, well, regardless, still, I mean, looking at these decklists, not only do they have a shitload of removal, your guys are just as big as a lot of their guys. You have a couple of Eyes, you have Under Titan, Noxus Hopeful's great. You're really good on offense, you play defense a little bit okay. The one card I really like is that stupid gear, Rage Amplifier, I think is the name of it, where their guys get +1/+1. So if you're able to make like a bunch of like 2 might 2 might birds in the backline or something, that's probably also really annoying for Azir, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very high on this card, but in the Azir matchup specifically, I bet this is very, very good.
Yeah. So yeah, Brittle Steel against the odds. What does the other one have? This one doesn't have it. Salvage. Ferris Forerunner is also going to be good against Azir. Do both lists. I mean, Ferris Forerunner is just a card that's always going to be good against yellow.
I bet Escaped Greyback is nuts against
Is
Azir.
that the one where you have to kill
Like,
something you own to make it a 5?
yeah.
That card's nice. I like that card.
I bet that thing is sized such that Azir just has a horrible time. Because this thing only costs 3 energy and a unit to make it 5 might, and they have to commit, like, significant resources to kill it.
5's probably... Well, is 5 that great of a breakpoint against them? Because... Wait, no, 5 is probably good, because that means their Sand Soldier has to pick up a Brutalizer and it trades, right? That's, like, good. So, like, you're probably fine with that. So, like, if you're just taking cardboard off the table like that, that's probably really good for you.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I play against Rek'Sai and Azir, name of the game, cardboard off the table.
I mean, Falling Star's also just got to be the stone nuts against Azir. If you ever kill 2 things with that, I'm sure you win the game.
It's a little bit interesting. It's not often as good as you want it to be, but I mean, it does get a discipline out of their hand, but then it just like replaces itself. I don't know. That is a weird dynamic.
Bellows makes Azir cry. Yeah, luckily there's not a lot of Bellows breath going around right now. Like, one of the best things that Ezreal can do is, like, watch your Bellows breath, but, one, the blue decks are, like, not really playing Watcher, or if they are, they're, like, kind of getting dunked on. But, I mean, there could be, yeah. Now that we know what, like, we need more Gust. Because, like, I was looking at a lot of these deck lists, like I was talking about this earlier, like, Irelia's cutting Gust. Now that we're going to go back to going Gust in our main deck and stuff like that, decks like Azir, or decks like Rek'Sai might get checked a little bit more. But there wasn't a lot of Bellows Breath Watcher this weekend, but it could be in Barcelona, it could be going to this weekend. There's 3 showdowns this weekend. Might be a good weekend to break out your Ezreals again.
Sean, have you considered 14 2-drop Rek'Sai?
That is a lot. I don't think I've ever played that many 2-drops in my life.
I don't think I've seen that many 2-drops in my life. Nobody tell Mason. He'll be validated.
I'm bringing Nasus to Barcelona, and Bellows, I have been seeing so much of it in testing. I mean... For what it's worth, in Nasus, the shit you get to do with Bellows Breath in that deck is just egregious. I watched someone last night play Thousand Tail Watcher, Temporal Breach the Thousand Tail Watcher, and then, like, fucking kill just, like, 7 might units with Bellows Breath. So, like, Nasus and Ezreal are doing a lot of very different things with Watcher Bellows Breath.
Nice Rasa with a last rank.
Yeah.
Dead in the back line.
Yeah, they're operating on different levels of breaking Watcher, I would say, but it is interesting.
Any other things we wanted to talk about from this weekend? I don't have a ton to say about Ezreal, do you?
I mean, the Ezreal deck that a lot of people are playing is like, bro, I was the victim of Watcher Bellows today. Yeah, get used to it, buddy.
Is it no new cards, Ezreal?
I mean, I think they have 1 new card. Like, they have that Heist Show, I think is the name of the battlefield, right? Where, like, you don't pay the flex costs. Which, for what it's worth, that is really good. You don't get punished by killing Vexes and Irelias, which is good. But, I mean, other than that, I think they have 0 new cards. So, like, Ezreal stocks are, like, not super high right now, I would say.
According by win rate, we did see Aurora do okay. Sivir and Jace with 57 and 58% win rates over here.
Yeah, I actually have Jace Aurora built behind me. I was actually really enjoying Jace Aurora. I think that casting Dredge Up is a lot of fun, and then the amount of turn 2 Auroras I did have was like pretty egregious. Now, I don't like spinning the wheel as much as some people do, so I'm not going to run it, but I don't know the math on Promising Future, but if the number's over 50% to hit Aurora by turn 4 now, whether it's off of Promising Future or whatever cards you see, that's like a good number. I don't know what the number is, but if you can get that number really high off of like Promising Future or like reliably casting it on time, I can see the deck being really good again.
Can you or anyone in chat tell me how Promising Future with Ravenbloom Prefect and Aurora work?
The only reason I know is because Natalie's told me before. That's the only reason I know.
Does it work?
If the person casting the Aurora or casting the Promising Future, it's their turn. The unit comes into play first.
So the prefect would get to banish the Aurora?
Yeah, the prefect can hit the Aurora.
Okay, I was thinking about that earlier this morning, and I felt like this would be a good opportunity to ask.
Yeah. Now, if you ask me what happens if 2 units coming off the Promising Future, I fucking would have to guess.
That's the stupid hardest dragon into elder dragon question of the day on Twitter.
Armacade, Disarming Rake would also hit Aurora. I actually don't think it does because I think the Disarming Rake comes into play, tries to kill a gear, there's nothing, then the Aurora comes into play. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Uno Sarge is in chat, maybe they will know. But I would say 95% certain that Disarming Rake cannot kill an Aurora if they're both getting Promising Futured into play.
I'm going to have to ask a judge and then also probably appeal every time Promising Future is cast.
I'm too lazy to think. Would Disarming Rake
work?
Okay, I'm wrong.
Does it work regardless of whose turn it is, Natalie?
I'm too lazy to think. Yes. Would Bryn stop stuff too if Bryn was the player who did not cast it? Uno Sarge says yes. Interesting. I don't know what the yes sounds for. It hits the triggers, go in the chain after it resolves.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That Disarming Rake would work because the play trigger is finalized after the Aurora is already in play, because gear and units don't use... Well, they do use the chain, but they resolve instantly. So by the time that the play trigger is finalized, the Aurora would be there.
That's crazy to me. That seems so stupid. Like, why... When the Disarming Rake... So what you're saying is the Disarming Rake comes into play, the Aurora is not in play yet, but the trigger's not put on the stack until the Aurora resolves?
Yeah, because units and gear just... They happen. They are instantly, finalized off the chain and put into play.
I hate this fucking game. That's so stupid. Oh my god. It's okay. There was a reason I was playing Prefect, was because I thought it came in off of Promising Future and was able to hit it and Rake couldn't. But I still prefer Rake as a card more than Prefect. But, I mean, now that both of them interact with Promising Future in that way, I don't know if I care.
It is nice that they both interact favorably playing against Aurora. So
yeah, I guess the difference is that if my opponent passes the turn, plays an Aurora, Prefect stops that, but Disarming Rake doesn't. But I guess they're both good off of Promising Future, but Prefect is good because I can play it proactively. I bet you if I put Prefect in a Guardian Angel run around, I'd probably win that game anyway.
So Bryn wouldn't stop an Aurora then with that logic. I believe Bryn would not stop an Aurora, but the Bryn would stop a unit coming in off the Aurora.
All right. Sism Siba.
Good rule.
What are the conclusions? Best top of the top deck to bring to Barcelona? We were going to talk about that a little bit later. We can do that really quickly. If you ask me, I would play Aurelia. If you ask, that's me. I think I would not play a deck that's not Aurelia, Master Yi, or Kennen. Those are the three decks I would suggest. I
was considering Draven, Diana, and Kennen over the course of the last week and a half, and the TLDR of our whole discussion here is I'm starting to lock in on this Kennen deck. It's looking better than all the other options to me, and I think our next discussion here is going to be diving further into the Kennen side of the world.
Yeah, prove that Akali's S tier. I cannot. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you. I'd be happy if it was B tier.
Draven's a little bit on Fraud Watch. If your goal is to... Draven's perpetually been on Fraud Watch since Set 2 if your goal is to win the event. But I don't think Draven is an unreasonable choice. Seeing this matchup spread into Kennen, Irelia, Azir, Yi is deeply concerning to me as a Draven player. Planning on, making day 2 and then hoping to make a deep run of things when the field homogenizes to, the best performing decks. Not sure that's where I'd want to be. So.
Bottom line, Kennen, Aurelia, Master Yi. That's what I would do. I think we can all agree Kennen's a great choice. Aurelia's also solid. Master Yi is really good at qualifying for the PT, but I think it's less likely to win the tournament. That's a TLDR.
Do you think Rek'Sai is a good choice?
I think Rek'Sai's fine. I would be concerned about it. You would need to pay very close attention to what the trend is going into this week. If you're talking about for Barcelona specifically, there's New Zealand, Germany, and Australia this weekend. You would need to pay attention to how much gusts are in the format and how much more anti-aggro cards are hitting the decks this weekend. But if they were still on the downswing, I think Rek'Sai would be a good choice in Barcelona. That being said, I would be shocked if there wasn't a shitload of Gust this weekend to compensate.
Okay, the chain off Promising Future with asterisks denoting pending on the chain.
Oh my god.
You have a Disarming Rake trigger pending, above an Aurora that's pending, Rake finalizes and resolves. Aurora is then pending. The Rake trigger is pending. Aurora finalizes and resolves. But the Rake trigger finalizes, is able to choose Aurora because Aurora has already finalized and resolved. The Aurora is on the board. You are able to choose it, so it can be killed. That is what we said earlier. That is okay. Nice. No. That's a great explanation. Thank you so much, Natalie. There's one thing we didn't discuss, which I think it'd be worth spending a couple minutes on.
Yeah, what's up?
Which is not only Prismaticism's absurd run, but this Rengar deck. I think we should take a couple minutes and talk about.
Yeah.
So, 59% across 131 matches, and let's keep in mind, Prismat was only 14 of those matches, I believe, 11 rounds of Swiss plus 3 rounds of top 8. So, 117 matches of non-Prismaticism. It did pretty well. 80% into Kennen. 10 matches, small sample size, smudgy numbers, but that's really good. I think the aggression of Rengar and being able to, probably comically easily get over Arasa, I think that's big game. Obviously, Rengar can suffer a bit into things like Starcross, and you have to, when you're running your numbers, you have to account for the legend ability, but that's nothing to sneeze at. 8 out of 10 matches, that's passing on a test.
Yeah, I probably spent about 3 or 4 hours playing against just Rengar this weekend between Irelia, Mastery, and Kennen. And the only games I would win when I was playing Kennen were involving last rights, bringing back Rasa pretty quickly, because I would need to be able to aggressively trade off the board. Because Starcross, while fine against Rengar, is actually not particularly great. Not only are their units just as cheap as Fizz or Traveling Merchant or whatever, but also I'm recycling a bunch when I do stuff like that, and their cards don't cost power. If you look at Prismat's deck list, I think if I remember right off the top of my head, Rengar costs power, and I think the only other card that costs power is Nidalee. Yeah, sorry.
Forerunner, Nidalee, Darius, your Tricks,
Yeah.
Drill, Sabo, Punch, and all the rest of your units don't have to cost power. You can accelerate a Kaisa, you can pseudo-accelerate your Pike, but yeah, I mean, they just get all the runes all the time. Also, there's one Darius and one Forerunner and one Pike. It's not like this is your primary game plan.
Yeah.
And also, if you ever try and Starcross, their stuff, it just comes back. It gets ambushed straight back onto the battlefield, plus an additional might. So
yeah, I mean, your best case scenario is what you're trying to do is you're Starcrossing them when they're on 2 runes, trying to put back Nidalee's back in their hand, the cards that have their power costs. But even then, they're just going to main phase their Nidalee and just get you back anyway. So it's not been it wasn't particularly effective strategy. The only strategy that would win was Rasa wearing a Last Rites on 8 might, which is bigger than their entire deck, unless they can double or triple spell or have Punch first. And if they commit to the Punch first, then I Starcross them. But if I'm able to chain Rasas, those were the games I was winning. But outside of that, it was pretty hard to break up the Rengar deck from the Kennen side. Playing as Irelia into Rengar, it wasn't as bad, but depending on what list you're looking at, there was a European list. I think it was the French team. What's their name? Michelion, maybe? I don't remember the French team.
Mycelion?
Yeah,
something like
that team. Their Rengar list had 2 copies of Rengar, 3 copies of Brittle Steel, 2 other Gear Hate cards. They had 7 Gear Hate cards in their sideboard. So your best cards against them as Irelia were Guardian Angel, and they were able to just steal your Guardian Angel or blow it up. So it was hard from the Irelia side to beat Rengar. I think it was pronounced Mycelion. Alright, that too. Not 100% sure, but I think that's the team we're talking about. Their Rengar list had 7 or 8 Gear Hate cards, and it was really hard to walk the line of getting your Akali or Irelia onto a battlefield, winning a combat, and untapping with Guardian Angel. So it was just a lot to ask for.
I'm looking at the sideboards of the 3 Kennen players that made top 8, and these sideboards have very, very few cards that I'd be interested in the Rengar matchup. I mean, this is the 8th place. This is the 6th place list. It has nothing. I'm gonna the Starcross. You want these Starcross, but they maybe should have been the main deck to start with. I don't know. Downwell is totally not where I want to be against Rengar. They're not spending runes. You are spending runes, and all of their stuff comes in when they need it and with a bonus. that's deeply concerning to me.
Yeah.
This Divine Judgment does look pretty excellent. That's something I would definitely consider. I'm not super enthused about Gust. Um,
I think I would board it in,
but
but I wouldn't be happy about it.
I yeah, I have to see how that played. But and then over here, I do like Kha'Zix. I think it's quite efficient, and the additional Starcross here. Call of the Week doesn't seem like it does anything in this matchup.
Noxus Scepter is kind of a cool card. I don't know where you want it, but I do like that card. That's interesting. But getting back to this, yeah, from the Kennen side, like, I mean, even the problem is your Call of the Weeks too, where like your quote unquote best removal spell against them, Call of the Week, Hidden Blade. Like, what are you hoping to hit with Call of the Week against them? It's like, if you can air it on the board and hit a Rengar with it, that would be Christmas land. But they have so many units, I find it highly unlikely for that to happen. And on top of that, I don't know how many Forest Forerunners you're keeping in as the Rengar player against Kennen. If you ever cast a Call of the Week on the with a Ferris Forerunner board, you have to lose the game on this. I would assume you lose the game on the spot.
I mean, and there's just so much crap laying around. There's like, oh no, I'm gonna sack my Pit Rookie or my one might on defense Inferna. Like, who cares about any of this? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
So like,
Rengar I would cut all my Call of the Weeks.
I mean, you might just have to keep it because it's fucking kills something. I don't know. Maybe that's just not the way you need to play the matchup. But
I don't think exchanging 2 and a yellow in exchange for 2 might is worth it.
That could be true too.
Like, yeah. I would find another game plan. I think Starcrossed is like a far more reasonable game plan. I think this Kha'Zix is a reasonable game plan. I think Divine Judgment is maybe a reasonable game plan. Or even just, maximizing on your up from the deeps and just throwing units away, but making sure that you like 2, 4, 6, 8, your opponent, and have that like final Baron shove on the last turn. Having a game plan is so important in this game. Like, you can't go into a matchup without identifying your win con. And like, one of the things I really like about this Kennen deck is that you have multiple viable win cons, either 2, 4, 6, 8 or 2, 4, 5, 8, to just, I have material on board. I have these 1 power 0 energy Rasas. I have these 0 power tentacles that I'm just ready to throw away. And you just have so much cardboard that you're like, you know what? If my turn 1 2-drop goes in and dies and it looted or it made a gold, looking at you, Treasure Hunter, like, that is enough. It has done its job. It is okay to lose resources because you have resource in abundance. And I think that's like really the strength of this Kennen deck, and I think that's important to identify where the game is right now of what cardboard matters. Because there was this like universal truth like before this point of most pieces of cardboard matter, whether you're getting tempo or actual card advantage. Like, gusting a 2-drop was often good. It was often like a play that mattered. Against Kennen, would you ever gust a tentacle? God, no. Would you have to not lose your 2-drop? Yes. Is it okay to lose your 2-drop? I think it has to be. I think you need to build decks in such a way that you were okay losing your 2-drop. Like, I don't know. This was like a realization I had recently.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, I think it'll be matchup dependent, but there's definitely spots where I go out of my way to not throw my 2-drops away. But against Rengar, you might just have to trade resources for points because you need to race. I'm not trying to race Rengar, but you need to end the game before they assemble 60 might over the course of a couple turns, right? So you might need to throw points. You might need to throw a cardboard away to score points, but I'd be really concerned about like Kennen deck, for example. If the Rengar deck or Rek'Sai start playing, I don't remember the name of the card. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a card that says when I conquer, blow up a gear for less might than I have, or like less converted mana cost than I have might. Do you remember the name of that card?
Oh, it's in this set.
Demolitionist. Is that what it's called? Noxious Demolitionist? That sounds right.
What color is it?
Red, I think. It's a Demolition. Because Rengar can play it. It's Demolitionist, I think someone said. This card. This card would, I think, single-handedly solve a lot of problematic spots for the Rengar deck. Because, like I said, if we're going back to Kennen versus Rengar, the only games I was winning was Last Right's Looping Rasa. This just by itself pretty quickly will answer not only a last rites, but also blow up all the seals with it too.
Oh my god.
This card would be very problematic for Kennen, I would think.
I'd have to gust this thing on the spot.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's also 2 mana. So it's 2 mana, it doesn't cost a power. Again, we're going back to, their deck just has, like, 4 power symbols in their deck, so, like, they're just going to replay this thing, too. So, that card is problematic, and I don't know if Rengar is going to start playing it, but if I was playing Rengar, that shit would be on my short list to play next weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things to play next weekend, I think this is a reasonable segue into looking at some Kennen deck building.
Yeah. I think Peter just joined us as well, so... Hey, Peter, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey, buddy, thanks for
Going
joining.
pretty well. We just wrapped up our discussion on the old win rate matrix from the face-to-face showdown over in Ottawa, and I see, yeah, it was a good discussion.
Yeah. Basically, Ken and Irelia are the decks to play next weekend, I think. But lots of options.
Ken and Aurelia,
Master Yi.
Rek'Sai Rengar.
Yeah, lots of good choices.
I would make sure you had Master Yi in there. I was watching the stream earlier.
Yeah.
It's in there. We gotta eat our vegetables.
Main issue with the card is that it doesn't usually blow up a gear instantly. I mean, you do have to untap with it, but I'm sure if you're killing a seal against Kennen on turn... Like, the thing is, like, against Kennen, my Rengar opponent could just go turn 1 Demolitionist, and, like, what the fuck do I do as Kennen? Right? Like, I just can't play my seal now? Like, that sounds awful. Like, the fact that it's just a threat looming from the backline, too, could also just be a problem. Another thing I wanted to point out, too, Jack, we didn't get to talk about this really quickly, about the Rengar deck. The Rengar deck also plays, like, 5 spells. It's, like, Punch first, the Signature spell, and then, like, Sabotage, and some of this by Falling Star. Defy is fucking awful against this deck, which is, like, the premier counter spell in the game. Now, obviously, you can counter Thrill of the Hunt. That's fine. But countering Sabotage is, like, kind of whatever. And you can't counter Punch first. You can counter Rampage, but, like, countering, keeping Defiant against this deck is just a huge liability. And, like, because there's going to be games where they don't draw it. So the green decks are just going to struggle on that axis, too. Because, like, keeping Defiant against this deck is such a huge fucking problem. And Defy is a big part of most green decks' foundation.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a Defy out kind of matchup, but I think the important thing to realize about this deck is that the units are the combat tricks.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, very valuable.
Yeah. Alright, but, so we want to talk about Kennen really quick, and then we'll jump into Master Yi. So let's talk about Kennen and how we want to build it and stuff like that. I know Cliff just joined. Hey, Cliff, thanks for joining. I know you're playing Kennen in Milwaukee next weekend, along with Jack's probably playing in Barcelona, so this will be great for you. Cliff is new. They were on our stream last week. They piloted Irelia with me, but they went 3-0 at their first Nexus night, or their Nexus night last night playing Kennen, so they're feeling good. But they want to probably talk about Kennen too tonight, so this will be a great opportunity for Cliff.
All right, so I have prepared a few different versions of Kennen to talk about. And this morning I spent some time kind of boiling down all the Kennen lists I've seen to what I would consider the Kennen template. And definitely want to hear all criticism of this, but I think the best way to view this is going to be in the build. Okay. So I think all Kennen lists should start with these 29 cards. You got your 3 seals, your 3 signature spells in the Lightning Rush, your 3 stack decks. Dig them out of your bulk, folks. They hit $15 today. At least 1 Tide Turner, a playset of Traveling Merchants, 2 Ride the Winds, 2 Last Rites, 2 Up from the Deep, 2 Fizz, your chosen Purple Kennen, at least 1 Starcrossed, and your full playsets of Nocturnes and Rasas. After that, you get 11 spots to flex around with. And I think that's where, like, the really interesting part of deck building comes in. So I built up a bench here of all of the cards that I've liked even a little bit for those 11 slots. And I think we can start to talk about it here. So a lot of the lists are looking at least 1 copy each of Baron and Harrowing. And I think that is the correct way to go. Baron, just by itself, even without Harrowing, represents so much modality in how you get to play this deck. Like I mentioned earlier, instead of just going 2, 4, 6, 8 on points, Baron can allow you to win from 5. It can also be an overrun type of effect to score your final 2 points. That's really, really valuable. Sometimes breaking through that final hold from an Aurelia is like very difficult to do. And getting +2 might on your veritable army of tentacles certainly makes that a lot easier. So I'm pretty high up on at least one copy of Baron and Harrowing. I know the folks over at Challenger are on 2 and 2 for consistency, with the optionality to shave a copy of each in matchups where it might not be good as a primary game plan. And I think that's also pretty interesting to consider. You've got your gusts here that, like we were talking about, there's less of them going around in the format right now, and that's why decks like Rek'Sai are able to be even better than they otherwise would have been. But, I think against Diana and Rek'Sai specifically, having Gust seems pretty important to me. How do you feel about Gust against Master Yi, Peter?
I mean, it's good, but I don't think it is necessarily swinging the matchup either way.
Sure. Is it a card you would be happy to see in an opening hand in Game 1?
I don't think so. I think from the Yi side, I'm generally pretty happy when my opponent plays it outside of like Aurora point fogging situations.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I would be scared if my opponent had if they had like the Diana Gust start, they're going second and they get to like Gust my Poro walking in or whatever. But yeah, I think I agree with Peter that like Gust, while it can be annoying, is like not the end of the world. So like I don't think it's particularly great against Master Yi.
Sure.
I mitigate a lot of it by just combat tricking my unit before walking in, typically.
Yeah. I mean, also it does get
anyways, just to way to tighten up the sequencing a little bit.
Definitely, and just don't leave room for error.
Yeah. So yeah, typically the unit getting gusted has already scored me a point, and at that time, like that's all your 2 drops in. You need to do is score you a point and trade for a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that.
Another card from the bench I want to highlight here, the second Tide Turner. I think the second Tide Turner is extremely good. I think it's how good it is gets compounded by playing Baron. Baron is most vulnerable on the turn that it's played. It is not that hard to produce a large quantity of might in the game right now, and Baron can get run down the turn after it's played if you don't win that turn. However, if you're able to hide a Tide Turner at another battlefield, Baron's functionally immortal. They commit some like ridiculous sum of might to like running over the Baron, and then he just swoops out to another battlefield and then can on the following turn walk into the Baron pit for free with no movement like effects required and retake it. It's lights out, and for that reason I'm pretty high on the second copy of Tide Turner. We here at Flex Slot are rather addicted to our girl Treasure Hunter. The card's nice. You've been watching Sean play it in Aurelia, so hard to pass that one up right now. And then you have lots of options for hidden spells. You have your Switcheroo, you have your Hidden Blades, and way earlier in the discussion, how I was saying that every different hidden spell in your deck past the first one represents like a significant amount of value because it's another thing that your opponent has to play around. For that reason, I think Switcheroo and Hidden Blade are just premium additions to this deck. So I put together a V1 of the deck here for us to discuss. This is where I'm starting at right now for my Kennen list. What are your guys' thoughts? I picked out for my my optional slots here. I picked the third Up from the Deep. I mean, I think that card is so good. Mm-hmm. I picked 1 copy each of Harrowing and Baron, our second Starcrossed, our second Tide Turner, a pair of Treasure Hunters, and I brought in the Gusts.
Yeah, I think this is probably very close, if not the exact main deck I would play. As you said, I'm a big Treasure Hunter fan. I think having access to both Switcheroo and Hidden Blade and Tide Turner as hidden cards is very valuable because they all require very different, attacks. So I really like having access to all 3 of them. I would probably want to play always at least 3. The only thing I would be interested in is maybe trying to fit. I know I'm a big fan of Tailcloaked Hera or Tailcloaked Matriarch, I think is the name of the card. As like a card that we can star-cross back over and over again, or last writes it back, and you just get a little bit more value out of the back line. But this is the only card that I'm actually like really interested in trying to fit in the deck list. But knowing Miracles or these kinds of 6 Ponder decks are always really tight on slots, there might just not be room for this card anymore. I'm a big fan of this card. I think if you're playing this, you do have to play Shadows of the Past to pick it up out of the graveyard to keep the loop going. But I think that card is really good. But if we're playing one, we have to play the other, I think. And I don't know if I have 2 cards I want to cut from this deck. Because the only thing that really sticks out is, like, I personally don't like 2 Tide Turns. Like, 1 is fine. Because I want 1 Hidden Blade, 1 Tide Turn, or 1 Switcheroo. But that's the only thing I'm not a huge fan of. But everything else I think is great.
I think it would have to come at the cost of some number of Treasure Hunter or Gust from where I'm sitting, and that's not an exchange that I'm looking to make right now. My opinion is also a little bit colored by the fact that I played against those cards in the Kennen Mirror at Nexus Night last week, and I was not impressed. And the Mirror is one of the places where I thought that interaction would be good, of just being able to grind Rosses so hard, and it was just not what the matchup was about. It was so much about who could most effectively end the game, and Baron, just the premier tool for doing so. And both of our games did end up coming down to me being able to assemble a meaningful backline, and then Baron to score the last 3 points in game 1, the last 2 points in game 2. And in addition to just wiping out the battlefield, put a hold that couldn't be overcome on that turn.
Yeah. It's funny how this deck has only 1 yellow spell and 3 double-colored signature spells in the deck. Yeah. It is funny, too, because, like, I don't know, what's our split? Is it 7-5?
God, no, it's 9-3.
Yeah. So it's funny to bring that up, because I've seen lists that were 9-3, and I think that's the right number. But I just think it's hilarious. I've actually never played a deck that's been this heavily skewed. I played a Yi deck that was 8-4, and I thought that was criminal. 9-3 I think is hilarious, because it's skewed in such a heavy direction.
Oh, let me show you something. Is this the one?
Oh, 11-1. Oh my god.
11-1 by the 6th place Kenneth.
What's their yellow card? They have to have 1 yellow card then, right?
Not the main.
11-1 is diabolical.
No, they actually don't have a yellow card.
There's no yellow cost in this deck, right? There's 0.
There's no yellow cost. No, this is the Fear of God Culture Order rune.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Cosmetic yellow rune.
I like that.
Cosmetic yellow rune. Sorry, Peter, what was that?
I was just saying it's good bluff equity.
It is great bluff equity because it can't screw you. You channel 2 runes a turn. You're guaranteed one of them is going to be purple. Like
My opponent has all purples up. Like clearly don't have Hidden Blade or whatever.
Yeah, this is the Fear of God Hidden Blade from hand.
For what it's worth, if they had a 1 yellow rune, I have to play around Salvage. Like I just probably have to.
Exactly.
You have to play around Cull, Hidden Blade, Salvage.
It is very low opportunity cost, very high return, I think. So
yeah, the only
like that
thing
a lot.
you lose is these sideboard yellow cards are so messed up.
Oh, dude. The yellow signature, the yellow decree, I think is crazy. That card is so fucking good.
I think this is, thinking briefly about this statement before I make it, this is the 2nd best decree. It's very strong. I'm extremely high on the green decree. Oof, +4 for 1 energy, no power at reaction speed is disgusting. But this one, this is unconditional removal for purple stuff.
Killing a last
I know
rights
is a condition.
checks a lot of boxes for me. It kills a
It
last
hits
rights.
last rights. It hits Rasa. This is like the sweetest card you're ever going to see in the mirror. You're just like thrilled about this because if you can prefect 1 last rights and then either salvage or decree the 2nd one, the loop is over.
Yeah.
It's done. There's no more recursivity. What's on the board is what's there.
It's any purple. It has to be a purple gear. Specifically, the big ones are going to be last rights and boosted swiftness. Those are the 2 big purple gear. I actually can't think of another purple gear that gets played. Cull, I guess. But last rights and boots of swiftness are the 2 big ones. And then for units, it kills Edge of Night.
It's Seal.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not really excited to cast Seal, but to kill
Pack
Seal.
of Wonders.
Yeah, I guess I would kill Pack of Wonders. Yeah, Pack.
Maybe a Spinning Axe.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could beat
There's some
Spinning
decent
Axes.
targets.
Yeah. But it kills Vex, Rasa, what was the other? There's one more big purple card. One more big purple.
Mind Splitter,
Mind
Ocean
Splitter,
Drake.
Ocean Drake. People start playing that again. I think Ocean Drake is actually pretty good against this deck. Like silly enough.
It's huge.
Can't kill
It
Baron,
hurts so
sadly, because Baron has hexproof.
I think killing Pack of Wonders is a really big deal.
I think Pack of Wonders is really good to kill, though.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I think that matchup was like pretty favorable because I don't know how they ever beat Last Rites loops, but
it's a very interesting matchup. Basically, you have to present a board that has to be Bellowsed, and then have a second equally scary board ready to go in hand as soon as they deal with the first one,
right?
And just continue posing questions of, can you deal with this one? Can you deal with this one? And the earlier they use Bellows, the better the matchup goes for you.
I would agree with that.
But this is where I think I would start before I get really deep into the tuning. Any other thoughts on this one? I managed to fit the Switcheroo and the Hidden Blade, which I'm very pleased about. I think Switcheroo is an incredible amount of equity in my 3 up from the deep deck.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really sticks out to me is, like, I don't know, like, I personally like Abandon. I don't know if you're supposed to be playing Abandon or Hard Bargain or if you need either. I don't know, but I personally like Abandon because if you play against Lux, like, having an out to Lux is really good, too. I don't know how popular that deck's going to be. I actually think in Ottawa there was, like, I think if you look at the Matrix, there was literally 0 Luxes on that Matrix. Now,
there were actual 0 copies of Lux.
I don't know if that's actually the true number, but god damn, if that's the actual true number, that deck might be fucking dead. I don't know, but that number seems crazy. I don't know how there's 0 of a deck at a tournament. That seems insane.
I think because
I had a friend playing in the event and said he saw 0 people playing it, but I don't think it's a data issue. Like, that he didn't see.
There's no best of barrier to entry with, like, you know, understanding the combos. And you know, if your name isn't Chiron the Mage, I mean, that's not the kind of sicko you are.
I mean, I guess, yeah, no metal card means that, like, there's not going to be the misers people playing it, but still, like, people were really high on that deck when Academic Researcher, I think is the name of the card?
Yeah.
Empower card. When that got spoiled, people were like, oh my god, this is the end of the world. And I'm like, I don't know. So, I think I like Hard Bargain more than Abandon, but it's pretty close. I think Hard Bargaining at Harrowing is more important than abandoning it, for what it's worth.
For what it's worth, in Hartford, in the main event, there were 23 copies of Lux in a field of about 1,700.
Yeah, but that was the last metal card, right, for Hartford?
Yeah, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is even when there was metal cards on the line and the combo was a known quantity, there were only 23 pilots.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
So.
Yeah, that very much contradicts what I've heard about the deck being good or broken or whatever. Like, I am just truly shocked that not even one person would go to, like, practice doing it in paper.
Right, that's what I mean. It's just like, I thought the deck was going to be the fucking end of the world Antichrist, and then, like, if people were going to play it in Barcelona, that would have been a good weekend to play it. And the fact that no one played it, it's like, well, clearly the deck just isn't that good then. Or, it's probably fine, but it isn't good enough to, like, roll the dice at only metal carding if you shit the bed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been... I've been goldfishing the deck just in case, because I agree that I think if it's good anywhere, it's probably Barcelona, but I'm... Yeah, just kind of shocked seeing no one else play it. Maybe I'm just...
I don't think it's going to be good in Barcelona. This format is aggressive. Rek'Sai put 3 copies into the top 8, and they're the kind of deck that's going to, like, double score on 2. Like, I don't think that's where you want to be.
A lot of my, and we can get deeper into this later, but a lot of my e-testing has just been figuring out if the, like, can I just nerf my deck, my sideboard size by, like, 6 cards and still be functional into everything else, and then just play all the Lux tax cards in the board.
Sure.
How many disposal orders can you fit in your sleeve?
Yeah, exactly.
One thing
I in the shoe and the disposal.
True.
My 5th sabotage.
Yeah, disposal order is the card we're reaching for, by the way, not a real card, but not wind wall. Like
also, to be conscientious of things like Rengar, I like having the second Switcheroo here.
Yeah, I think Switcher is just an amazing card. I think that card, like, having played with and against it a lot, that card's just fucking busted.
I love this card. It's so good. I played it in every Draven deck that I registered for an RC, and it just overperforms every time. And even if you, like, hide it and the battlefield gets blown away, you just kind of shrug and you flip up the switcheroo, and now your opponent has to live in fear for the rest of the match. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think for what it's worth, I think if I saw one switcher, I don't think I'm playing around the second one, but
And that has won me matches as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably wasn't able to beat the first one very easily. There's probably no shot on beating the second one, so it is what it is.
So I've been also following some other builds of the day. Oh, well, actually, I want to talk about one more thing. People aren't arguing about two of the battlefields. Zon Warrens and Minefield have earned their spots. They're here to stay. Zon Warrens game 1 and Minefield going second are very valuable pieces to the synergy that this deck is providing. There is a good amount of discussion about the third battlefield.
Yeah.
So coming out of the weekend, Forbidding Waste has been seeing significant amount of play. 2 of the 3 Kennen lists that made top 8 were playing Forbidding Waste as their third battlefield. And I think that makes a lot of sense in this deck. You're really good at presenting multiple units onto a single battlefield. In a number of spots, you can, like, oops into a Nocturne off a stack deck and, like, negate the downside as a surprise for yourself. Your opponent's often only able to get 1 unit over your stuff, and then, you know, you're able to attack well into it because of your Kennen Legend ability. I think there's a lot of good things happening with this Forbidding Waste card. And then the other 2 battlefields to consider here are Veiled Temple to ready your seals and unattach, ready your treasures off Treasure Hunter, and unattach your last rights to get a second activation in the same turn. And the final one is Candlelit Sanctum, which is a bit more generically powerful, and you can also play Nocturnes off the Candlelit Sanctum Conquer trigger, which is pretty nice. My gut instinct right now is this Forbidding Waste. I think that's going to give you the largest advantage into decks that you might end up struggling against. But what do you guys think?
Personally, if it was me, I think I like Veiled Temple the most. I think I'm a big fan of Ride the Winding Treasure Hunter to score early points, which means that you walk into Veiled Temple, ready your gold, ride the wind, make a second gold, pull back, make a third gold. I think that's very valuable. And buying yourself extra points early game, that's a strategy I employ in Aurelia a lot. I think it'll be very good in a Kennen deck because your early game is often bogged down by casting multiple stack decks and sleight of hands. So, like, you want to be able to maybe slow down a little bit. If you take 2 early points, generate 2 or 3 gold, I think, early. I think that buys you a lot of breathing room. Now, with that being said, you do need to probably play a third Treasure Hunter if you want to bring Veiled Temple. But that would probably be something I would be interested in doing. If I didn't feel like I wanted 3 Treasure Hunter, I think I would play Forbidding Waste. I think that's just the best thing to be doing.
So second place had Veiled Temple and 3 Treasure Hunter.
Yeah. Does it have 3 Ride the Wind or is it 2? I bet you it's 2. It's probably 2 Ride the Wind, but I wonder if it had 3.
It's 3 Ride the Wind.
Yeah.
They're on the full 3.
Yeah. That's like that. Is this the guy who got second?
Yes.
Yeah, I did watch him do this game 2 on the play against Prismat, and it did, like, that's something I'm very interested in personally. Now, he did end up losing that game, but I do like that stuff. Buying yourself time against this, where you can actually take your next turn off, and then, like, maybe cast and flow your Lightning Rush to build up your graveyard, and that way your turn 4 is, like, a little bit more explosive that way.
Yeah. So fourth place, no Veiled Temple and no Treasure Hunter. And then 6th place, also no Veiled Temple, but did have 2 Treasure Hunters.
But probably only 2 Ride the Winds, right?
Only 2 Ride the Winds, that is correct. So that's kind of that happy medium zone that I'd be in. I'd be perfectly happy to have 2 and 2 and a Veiled Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I would not feel the need to go up to 3 Treasure Hunter. Mm-hmm. Or I don't think I could fit a 3rd Ride the Wind. This list is so tight. Like, can we have minimum deck size? I wanna pull a Magic the Gathering and some cursed 42 card pile or something.
Yeah, your first cut would have to be your Tide Turner. Would be my guess.
Yeah, and I'm just so high on the card when you're Baron maxing.
That's fair. I mean, if you're looking to Baron endgame people, you probably saw your Tide Turner anyway. Like, if you had 1, right? Like, you just see so much of your deck so quickly. But
yeah, unless it died early, because it was your turn 1 play.
That
did happen to me on Friday.
Yeah. And I think I asked Nat this last night, but I don't think you can hide from lacerates, right? Like, I can't pick up a tide turn out of my graveyard and hide it, right? It has to be from hand specifically.
I do not think you can do that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
God, that'd be so good.
I checked. I thought it would be broken, but you cannot.
Imagine if you could, like, lacerates and, like, hide a pike or something.
I mean, yeah,
out of, like, one of those
sick.
things. Or hide an Evelyn out of Draven. Oh, my goodness.
Lacerates isn't good enough. We need to make it better. That's what I'm saying. It's the best gear in the game.
Cut rooms for main deck slots? That wouldn't be problematic at all. Oh, God. So the two other lists that I want to highlight the differences between is I've been watching a good amount of Coco and Min. Min's a good friend of mine from way back, and they're quite focused on this Kennen list as well. So this is their version right now, which is on a 2-1 split of Baron and Harrowing, which is what I played on Friday, and I was a big fan of that. So I might look to try and fit the second Baron. And the second Baron actually did end up being relevant. The first one got banished by a Gust Monk in one of my games, and then I got to Harrowing the second one. And that was pretty cool. But they're on 3 Treasure Hunter, which, you know, don't have to tell me twice. Only a single Tide Turner, so that's where that slot came from. The Safety Blanket Flash. This Call the Week, I think 10 out of 10 times probably needs to be a Hidden Blade. I don't think you can...
I'd be scared to play it in a, 3 copy up from the Deep Mirror, but...
Or a 3 Rek'Sai in top 8 universe that we live in.
Yeah, but I mean, also for what it's worth, I'm not excited about Hidden Blading Rek'Sai either, though, so...
Yeah.
Both those cards are kind of ass in that matchup.
I believe this is 2 cards different from the main deck I came up with, or 3 cards. So a Treasure Hunter became a Tide Turner, the Cold Week became a Hidden Blade, and the Flash became second Starcrossed. Mm-hmm. I think those are the changes here. And then the sideboard is a reasonable bit different. A lot of the same cards in different quantities. I think Fallen Feline is certainly worth thinking about. I like this card quite a bit, especially against decks like Yi and Aurelia. Being able to name Punch First and Defy and Defiant Dance, very powerful. Also, I can definitely see this 1-1 split of Abandon and Hard Bargain being correct. That just needs to be sussed out through testing.
I would need my opponent to cast the Meddling Mage Cat against me for me to understand why it's good, but every time I look at this card, I go, wow, what's the card they could name that would really kill me? And I can't think of a card that would break my back. But I mean, I'm playing Aurelia, so it's a little bit different, where I bet you naming Punch Burst against Master Yi is a lot more of a problem than naming Defiant Dance against Aurelia.
True will cannot be defeated.
When I've played it in testing, I've named Defy a lot, and then I've, star-crossed an Aurelia afterward, and that's been pretty nuts. And also you can star-cross the Feline and the Aurelia, and then you can put it on something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of nice. I don't know. I very likely won't end up registering this card in Barcelona, but it is very interesting to think about.
Yeah. RBC, what is that for? We're kind of on the fence about it, but one of the big things Jack is talking about is it's a very dedicated, specific card about a card you can't handle. So if, for example, you're worried about Ruin Runner plus Punch First, you can put this thing on a battlefield and then pressure the Ruin Runner. That is something you can do with it. Now, that being said, it only does something when you're on a battlefield. So you do need to have control of a battlefield. And if you have control of a battlefield, you're probably already winning. Or you're probably in a decent spot. So I'm not sure how effective I like it against that kind of stuff. But that is where you would want it. And also, it would be really good against Lux combo. But, I mean, I don't think we need to worry about Lux combo too much. Because we just looked at the Ottawa numbers. There was literally 0 Lux players. I don't think there's going to be many in Barcelona. Decks that are playing normal Riftbound, I think it's going to be pretty weak. I would agree with that.
So I got one more version to look at here. It's going to look very similar once again. But this is 2 Harrowing, 2 Baron. Also, this version was on 0 copies of Treasure Hunter. And instead was playing the second Starcrossed and the Switcheroo. So this is a more all-in Baron version that I know some of the Challenger guys have been sleeving up.
Yeah, I think in my mind, I personally don't love the Baron gameplay, but I do understand the value of it. You can put people in check at 5 and then Baron them and maybe catch them off guard. I do understand that it is quite good, but I'm just scared that your A plus B might get broken up, or like against Rengar or Rek'Sai, I'm gonna get a Baron into play on a semi-stable board, and my Baron gets fucking killed. Like the harrowing does come at a big cost by putting when you put a Baron into play, and like if you don't end the game that turn, I could see it being too big of a detriment. But they know more than I do about the Kennen deck. I'm only 50 matches in with Kennen, so they probably know more than I do. I just personally would try to avoid that. I want those 2 other cards back. Like the second Harrowing, second Baron. I want to play something else.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other thoughts on these Kennen variants before we button up that chapter?
No, I think we're good. I think we talked about it a lot. I think that Kennen is probably... If you haven't tested Kennen, you should. It should probably be your first deck. If not, your second. I think it's probably one of the best decks. Actually, first. It is probably the best deck in the format, but there are a lot of good options. I think Kennen, you should at least be testing with and against Kennen to make sure you understand how it works and understand its range. That being said, I think we want to jump into Master Yi with Peter next, right? Peter, you there?
Peter,
yes,
I'm gonna have you drive for the Yi portion.
I should be able to do that, yeah.
Perfect.
Just a second.
Thanks for hanging out tonight, everybody, and listening to us ramble about Riftbound. It's a lot of fun.
Cliff, what are you playing? I know you're playing Kennen next week, and do you have a feeling of what you want to play? Like 2 Baron, 2 Harrowing? Do you have any idea, or do you not care?
I like something close to that list. I mean, I was playing No Gus yesterday, and I definitely missed that card.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out for me was the one of Rebuke in the main was really cool. And it won me some games. Like, it definitely won me a game against Aurelia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rebuke is just a really hard card to cover from the Aurelia side right now because you have to play games on pretty tight margins right now, so it'll be nice. It would be nice to have Rebuke in the Kennen deck, I agree. Let's keep going. Go ahead, Jack. What's up?
I was just gonna say we got Joey here.
Welcome me.
Oh,
It's great to be here.
We just finished up talking about Kennen. That deck is messed up.
That deck is so good.
This is about to become a rated R stream.
Yeah, let's talk
Hide
about
the women
you.
and children.
What the hell?
This motherfucker. Oh boy.
It's okay.
I was
We're
listening.
gonna have a very normal conversation about Master Yi that is not at all triggering to your Hartford experience.
I mean, people just are not built like me. I played against it the most in the entire tournament, still had a positive win rate. Everyone else is ass.
Resilience.
That deck's really good. Yi is. I just don't like that. I'm sad for Yi because I feel like it didn't get the cool tools that a lot of other decks did. But
We were talking about earlier. I really
good.
think that the 4-mana card is busted.
Yeah, Onslaught. The
oh,
+6
that card is
flow.
egregious.
Yeah, that's the card.
Also, Rampage is quite the upgrade on Challenge.
3 versus 2 mana is a big difference, but the fact that the fight spell doesn't recycle is crazy.
Yeah, no recycle.
Yeah.
You do lose the action speed, but I mean, the number of times that's relevant is like not that high in a given tournament.
Yeah, I think that comes.
Wait, the action speed thing's not huge because a lot of the times if you're action speeding something, the buff doesn't matter. Your guy's just gonna die anyway, so it's like not great.
Yup. And if that's the kind of effect you want, you play Alpha Strike.
Do we want to do the like recreating, building the deck kind of the way you did with like these are the mandatory cards, these are the flex cards, or do we can just go over the questions that I posted that I have and want to talk about?
I kind of like starting with the template. I think that leads the discussion well.
Cool. I will whip that up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen and then I'll pull it up. But yeah, we definitely take a time at it. I have about another hour and a half before stream ends, so we got plenty of time. All right, so let me pull this up. Ba-ba-bum. Pop out. Ba-ba-bum. Perfect. All right. No, that's the right mastery. We need XPE, right? That's where we're starting.
Yeah,
Okay, Vero.
Not playing that one. I'll tell you that.
Dang it.
So I was looking over a list that Mo posted a week and change ago. I've been doing a lot of my testing with that, and that has a lot of a lot of concessions for Lux kind of built into it, so I'm kind of just rebuilding from that sense. There's a big, a good amount of debate too, or just like variations in the lists I've seen of what 2-drop mix they want to play. Crab versus Steel Paws versus Pit Rookie and all the other stuff. And that is one thing I've really been liking about Mo's list is 2 Steel Paws, 3 Lonely Poro, 3 Pit Rookie. It's like a pretty lean package while still having kind of the mandatory number of early plays. Like 8's really the mandatory number. You can play 9, which I've done more often than not, I think. But 8 or 9 is completely reasonable. But I think the crabs have just been not performing as well for me this set. As we've been talking about, it's a lot more aggressive, a lot more combat focused, where the extra card from the crab doesn't do nearly as much for you.
Also, I would bet that part of the reason people are cutting crab is if you have to walk uphill at a fucking... Even if you're playing Mastery, you have to walk uphill with your crab at a tentacle. Like, casting a spell to get onto a battlefield with your fucking tentacle, or with a Scuttle Crab with their guy defending, it's like, what are we doing here? So, I'd be very interested in not playing Scuttle Crab and just playing, like you said, the Lolliparo Steel Paw stuff. But definitely interested in not playing Scuttle Crab in our deck. I think that's fine.
So one of the most notable things from Mo's list is he was only playing 2 Defy, which I found kind of odd. I kind of get the idea that Defy's stock goes down a little bit when, like, these are all kind of Draven cards, but cards that are getting more played, like Switcheroo, Rebuke, Falling Star, stuff like that, all kind of make Defy naturally a little bit worse. But then, I don't know, I mean, stuff like Moonfall Rebuttal, just fighting over combat tricks in general is a lot of what the Master Yi deck does, so it's hard for me to want to get too far away from those.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, I think I would rather start on 3 Defy and board down than have to just struggle on 2 and only be able to cast them when I absolutely need to instead of when I want to, right? So
yeah.
I'd rather just board down than have to work our way back up.
He had a different rune split, too, that I'm not the most excited about. He was doing 8 orange, 4 green. So maybe the Defy cut is just a concession to that, and we've decided that 8 orange is important.
Yeah, I think I like 7-5, but
that's the conclusion I've come to as well.
Yeah, that's like what most people do.
And then I'm just kind of adjusting some of the heavier orange stuff. So the biggest question is if Triforce is necessary. I think if you're expecting a lot of Lux and a lot of Aurora, Triforce becomes very quickly becomes the best card. But I think you get to build the deck pretty differently if you're not making a bunch of concessions in that direction.
Sure.
So going to this, I guess the Alpha Strike isn't really mandatory, but I feel pretty priced into a lot of these numbers. I suppose the Maximum Sabotage isn't necessary either. But those were kind of the flavor choices that I'd made.
I think I like Triforce in a Kennen meta too, to be honest, because like the ability to just consistently re-equip your guys and send them in to take out like Ross's is just super good.
And
the extra
add a lot on defense though, because like the Kennen deck is so much about attacking though. I don't know how often you're gonna get the.
Well, at some point they have to. At some point to win the game, they have to be on defense.
I think being over 6 is really important against Kennen, just to not die to Kennen Legend plus Champion unit.
Yeah.
True.
I think that
it works on offense, works on defense.
Yeah, I think Triforce is like probably like a. I think I would be interested in like a 1-1 split. I don't know if I like playing both in the main deck. I don't think I've ever played. Yeah, I don't think I would ever play more than 2 between the main and the side. But I think I'd be interested in like a 1-1 split. I think I agree that like if we need to like getting your for example, your Ruin Runner to a 7 then a 9 is like pretty important because one of the important breakpoints of the matchup is Rasa wearing a Last Rites or Rasa wearing Kennen ability. And if your Ruin Runner checks that box by blocking right away, that's already a humongous win, right? So, pretty interested in like having free buffs that way. I mean, obviously we have our other buffs as well, but I think Triforce. We're also like some of the chats also asking about a way to speed up the match. I think that's also like that is a consideration, but that's not why I want to play it. I want to play it because it's free, +2 on a Ruin Runner, +2 on a Rengar. Like that's why I'm more interested in it. But it also having the added benefit of speeding up is good.
I certainly agree with that. I mean, a lot of the games, like playing a lot of Kennen, like a lot of the games do come down to like 8 to 6, and especially in Yi where it's so grindy. Like if they just get those extra points early, it is pretty miserable. Like it does feel like a pretty big uphill battle.
Yeah, I guess I would be really concerned about like like for example, the list we're looking at right now, I'm very excited there's no Fiora in the main deck. I think Fiora's
Fiora.
If there's ever been a bad time to play Fiora, it's right now because of how much tentacle is going around. Even though I do like the card like against Irelia, for example, but I mean Irelia also has tentacles in their decks. Like that card's like stock is very low right now, if like at the floor. So definitely glad that's not in our main deck right now. I think my gut is I want another fight spell, like another Rampage. That would be the first thing I do, but I think
the cards that I'm missing is the third. Oh, I did put the 35. What am I missing? I'm missing one other card. Oh, I'm missing the Alpha Strike.
Yeah, the Alpha Strike main deck, which I don't really love.
I've been really liking the Alpha Strike. I think one in the deck somewhere is mandatory.
Man, I don't mind it out of the sideboard. I just don't like it in the main deck. But
it's just one of those cards that just promotes like a, I don't know, you can like cheese a win pretty easy off of it.
I just want our cards to not recycle that aren't Sabotage and Punch first, if possible.
Yeah, it's usually the turn you're playing it is usually the last turn of the game. Or it's like a mid-level kind of like how you would use a challenge before Rampage was printed. It's like not ideal, but I would say maybe 10% of the time you're using it as like a turn 3 weird removal spell, and most of the time you're breaking big battlefields. I think especially with the huge bump spells like Onslaught and Punch and all that.
I guess maybe the math is like how often are you needing to kill multiple Rosses on a battlefield and quickly? Like being able to like chop down a Ross and then walk over it. Maybe that checks the box like we need to play in main deck. Because otherwise we're like pretty cold to like double Rasa plus last rights or something like that, right? Like
I think main deck I would want about one card that can deal with some like really obscenely large things.
Yeah.
But like you can also piecemeal a lot of things with like you have a previously hidden Zonias that you flip up, move your Yi and you onslaught it.
Yeah.
Ready it after the Zonias. Like you can clear 30 might with a 10 might unit this way like a couple times. But
Peter, get this card off my screen.
Oh, the Vile Mod? That's okay. My fault.
One thing that I really liked in Yi was I played a list that had 3 first mates, 2 pit rookies. I know that we were talking about you need 8 2-drops. I think I would play 3 first mates before I play 3 pit rookies.
Interesting.
I think being able to go left to right with your units is like really important, especially in games where like the game, like for example, in a game that I can see myself losing is where I'm getting pressured by Starcrossed. And I only have like a single Ruin Runner on a battlefield, and I need to get to the left-hand battlefield. Being able to walk left to right with a first mate, I think like first mate on my Ruin Runner is more important than like a lot of things. Now that doesn't mean that we can't play 3-3, 2, and 3 first mates. I think that'd be fine, but I think I'm more interested in playing third first mate before I like do anything else. We have 2 slots here. I think that'd be my first edition. But I know that I'm like pretty pilled about getting to double battlefields every turn.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. That's one of the other battlefield changes I made for Mo's list. Is I like the Star Spring a lot. This is the list that I've been currently playing a lot of games with.
Yeah, this is like pretty stock, I would say, right?
Yeah, pretty stock, nothing crazy. I think a lot of, I mean, honestly, I like 35 of the main deck cards kind of choose themselves, and then the rest is kind of just fitting to taste.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of my process for that is just going to be mapping out what I want my post-board 39 to look like, and then kind of configuring the main deck in a way that gels with that.
Yeah. I think one thing
sideboard, I don't really like half the cards in it.
Yeah. One thing I'd be really interested in as well is another Onslaught. I think that card has been like... I can see that card also being really important against Miracle.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate it. I have tried a few, I don't remember the name. Yeah, Cataclysmic Duel. I tried this card, and I in my first spot, I discarded it because it didn't seem like the game was going to be like that, but then ended up being a spot where it would have been my only out in a weird game. Like stuff like this I think is kind of interesting too, and maybe is playable. But I think a lot of the value of these is just how kind of samey your cards are, and you don't really need them to do anything.
So how do you think that works with... Like, what happens, let's just say for argument's sake, I go Zonia's, Cataclysmic Duel. Am I going to get 2 units out of the duel, you think?
That would be my understanding, yeah.
So I could, let's say I have, Master Yi, 2 Ruin Runners. I can go, I'll choose Master Yi, pop my Zonia, save a Ruin Runner, my 3rd unit dies. So I probably get 2 units back, right? I think that's, I could see that being actually really good tech. Because, I know, some of the Canada decks have Divine Judgment. Maybe that's something I would be interested in, because I know that's what they're doing. Maybe this being 8 mana though makes it kind of inaccessible. That seems like a shitload of runes.
That's kind of my thought. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of my concerns. I spend my runes early pretty aggressively, and maybe that's a playstyle thing that I could tighten up a little bit. But
yeah,
that's just kind of the way that I've been playing the deck since set 2.
Yeah, I could just see that being really big game. I don't know. But I guess then they're getting a Rasa back though. Like, maybe it's not good enough. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
And then I think just kind of I want to pivot into some of the questions a little bit, just because this I think a lot of it kind of informs how the deck is built.
For sure.
And I can kind of just rapid fire these, and then anything that people want to speak to, we can get into.
Let's do it.
So number one is Fiora necessary in the sideboard? I think this card is really just for the Yi mirror. I don't really like it against basically any other deck. Like, you can make Aurelia play awkwardly into you. You can make these decks like play in weird ways, but
I think
my opponents have always been able to figure out how to not have her be attacking or defending one-on-one.
I think that was a card I really liked in like set 2 and 3. I think it's kind of gone by the wayside. I agree with you that not only, for example, like in the Ymir, Rampage is on the stock up, right? So like if they go Banshee, Rampage, or Fiora, you probably feel pretty shitty because they spent 0 runs, you spent an orange, and like that's a pretty bad trade. So I think I'd be interested in cutting one, if not both Fioras.
Yeah, I think I'm basically looking for permission to feel like I'm allowed.
Yeah, I think that's.
I do not like the card. The power cost on turn 1 play or turn 2 play is it's too much.
Yeah, I think that card's definitely like.
We can break out the chart and look at how this thing costs you 11 energy over the course of the game. Not super interested in that. So I would love to not have to play that.
Yeah.
And then similarly curious how good Trinity Forces are, which maybe means I just need to play some more Key Mirrors, because they're kind of good in the games where you're staring at each other, but that, in my experience, is largely not how the games play out. Is kind of one player is either draw diffing the other or just like trick diffing them. But it's pretty rare that the player that's behind is just going to park on the other base and try to make that work.
I wonder if
maybe you can do that, but
sorry, go ahead.
It seems really. I was just saying, it seems hard to actually pull that off to me.
I wonder if the inclusion of Onslaught in the main deck now like really changes that, because like Primal Strength, for example, in the past was like a really good way to break like a Ruin Runner plus Triforce Battlefield. But now that you have Onslaught, not only does it not recycle, but it also has 2 casts. Like, you get to fire it 2 turns in a row. Like, maybe that makes that kind of stuff in the mirror a lot less okay, right? Where
that tracks with me, yeah. Because especially like you're not locking it down with the Defy either, right? They're onslaughting again.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, there's 2 shots at it. So
cool. My inclination then would be, I'm just gonna type out my answers to these questions as well.
One thing I always really liked in Mastery was 1 copy of Back Off somewhere, because Zoni's Hourglass versus Back Off required two very different play styles. I'd be really interested in trying to get a Back Off in the deck, but I don't know if we have.
Yeah, that was the card that I cut for the 3rd Defy from Mo's list.
Sure. Okay, that's tragic.
Very, very much. Make sure I get that one in the list as well. Just make sure I have all the considerations written down. Cool. Diana, which was initially on my list of very important matchups, a lot less now. Kind of asking about the 3rd Defy, but I think we've kind of answered that question. I would like to play the 3rd Defy. I want to do 7/5 mana. That's all good. Triforce, yes or no? Inclination is probably not. I think they are watchering you pretty effectively. Or Watcher just makes it hard to park. You have to be willing to back and forth trade points a little bit.
Yeah, I don't really want Trinity Force. Also, like, they have acceptable losses in their deck most of the time. So, like, the fact not only are you just playing into a card that they're already main decking, the fact that if you spend a power, equip a Triforce, and then they fucking acceptable losses you, that's just going to be tragic, right? So,
yeah, disastrous.
So I would try to stay away from that in that matchup, I think.
Yep, you can wiggle around it with Zonies and stuff too, either like not deploying it right away or not hiding it right away. Like you have some options for that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say I largely feel pretty good about the Diana matchup.
Matthew, so back offs over Triforce is the idea they were talking about. No, we're talking about like just trying to find room for the back off. They were just talking about they cut the back off to find room for the 3rd Defy, but I think I want to try to find room for both, not just one or the other. That's what we're just talking through it right now to see what's important and what's not. I think Triforce is getting lower and lower on the list, but we'll see where we end up in the next 30 minutes.
Yep, that's pretty much where I'm at. Aurelia, 3rd Defy, of course. How good is Sabotage against Aurelia, in your opinion, Sean?
Yeah, so historically, it was very good. I think it's still fine. I think the more important cards from the Yi side into Aurelia are cards like Akshan, Disarming Rake. I'm less interested in spending power casting Sabotage, and more interested on building up power to cast Akshan plus Disarming Rake turns. Now, the problem is, one of the big problems is that Akali's a bigger part of the situation now. So, like, because of that, you probably need Sabotage to take Defiant Dance / Disciplines away. Or, you know, great if you hit Guardian Angel, but the more important thing is making it so their Akali can't get to 10 might, like, as effectively as possible. And the best way to do that is start by taking boots. You could do that with Akshan and Disarming Rake. The next best way to do that is Discipline and Defiant Dance. So because of that, you probably need to keep your Sabotages, even though I don't love it. It is also usually better than, like, Charm, for example. Like, Charm right now, depending on how much Akali they have, like, will have very, like, different mileage depending on what their list looks like. So you would cut.
That was in my experience, that was like one of my best cards in set 3, Yi versus Aurelia.
Sabotage or Charm?
Charm.
Yeah. So again, yeah. Like, for example, against my list in particular, like, I would just jam an Akali, know you have Charm, and be like, all right, well, what are you gonna do about it? You can't do anything with it. But in set 3, it was like, okay, well, now I have to play Aurelia while I have Defy mana, but you're not, as the Yi player, you're not going to cast Charm unless you have Defy covered, right? So you're definitely spending, like, upwards of 3 or 4 power to take an Aurelia out of play. But as the Aurelia player, now that I get to play Akali and you have no option, you probably have to be proactive and sabotage me to just try to get out as much might out of the play as possible.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So
similarly to these other matches, I don't think Trinity Force is great just because you're beating me with might more so than some other method. Cool. If in the world where I have Helm of Suppression in my sideboard, would I board it in against you?
As the Aurelia player, it's like, I've had it cast against me, and it's like, if you cast it once and don't activate it, it's like pretty beatable. If you cast it and then activate it, like where you get, I have to also start paying Recycle, that's going to be pretty taxing, especially like if you have it early, like let's say you have a turn 2. Good chance I'm going to like get burned out pretty quickly, especially because Akali, while good in the matchup, does need like often one pump spell to clear both battlefields. Like, I can clear one battlefield, jump to the other, and probably take both of them out. But I do need help to do that. And if you have Helm, I think it'd be really good to bring in. But I think it's probably only good against, like, Aurelia, Lux, and, like, I mean, I don't even know. I don't think I'd board it in against Diana or, like, Ezreal.
Yeah, I don't like it against Diana. I am mid on it against Ezreal. It's nice against Mel, but yeah.
So I think if I had it, I would board it in against Aurelia. I don't think I wanted it in my sideboard, though, at all.
Cool. Kennen, it was initially just a couple, like, some like really basic questions, but I've played that matchup a good amount now. I'm feeling, I would say that's probably the matchup I've tested the most, feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Triforces are okay. I didn't mind having the one. What was the other one? With this list, I was not sideboarding against Kennen. Just felt pretty good, this configuration.
Yeah, I was talking to Sean about that on Saturday or Sunday, one of the two, when I was playing Kennen into Yi quite a bit. And in retrospect, now that I've thought about like the actual games that were played, I think it's Yi favored. Like, some of those boards are just really. The problem is like, you'll sit there as the Kennen player and you'll put all this energy into like getting through these boards and like playing through the combat tricks and like doing all of that work. And then your guys will get on the battlefields, and you'll just sit there and realize that their backline is probably just going to walk over them the next turn.
Yep. Exactly that is. They have put an effort to break through, and then I am, because my deck is so much faster because you're getting the extra on guard or whatever from the E passive, you are very, very easily developing your backline, and then they put a lot of effort in, and you just easily walk back and develop again.
Yeah, similar to a lot of the orange matchups too. Like when I was playing against Rengar a lot, like on Sunday I played against Rengar quite a bit, and it was the same thing where like the card that felt like it mattered the most was just last rights. Not because it's just like getting my guys back constantly, but just, I just need the +2 to even try to compete.
Right.
I think the only thing I'm interested in is, with that exact vein, is either access to, again, if Noxious Demolitionist, I think is the name of the card. I actually think that card is very fucking good. Even in Yi, I think I would play it. I'm really interested in that card. Or if I wasn't playing that, I would board Akshan in. I think even taking a seal, while not great, I think is better than, I think the 1 or 2 Akshans is most likely probably better than, like, maybe Steel Paws. I don't think Steel Paws is going to be particularly great against them, but
Oh,
maybe,
the Demolitionist. That's the name of that card? Oh, yeah, that card's good.
I think that card's actually really good. I know you probably haven't like looked at that card before, Peter, but like I like that card a lot.
Yeah, no, I was looking when you were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I do like it. I'll try to get some games in with it.
Yeah, I think that like just getting not only is it a good turn one play, but like getting to pressure a seal. Like, how many times does a cannon player hit a seal in a game? I mean, if they have it on turn 2, they probably hit it 7 times in a game. So like, getting to pressure that is quite good. And then if you just discipline it and walk in and kill it last rates, that's game changing. So, I think that I would be interested in maybe trying to find room for like 1 or 2 of those. Also, that card is also extremely good against Irelia too. So getting to double dip in both those matchups is quite good. But I would maybe board Akshan in over like. I mean, I guess I don't understand how good Alpha Strike is in the matchup. I think it's probably fine, but I'd be interested in trying to find.
It's been pretty nice, yeah.
Yeah, I would try to find room for the one Akshan in the mirror against Kennen, but other than that, I think you can probably just.
I think the secret is going to be that these Trinity Forces might not be in the deck very much longer.
Yeah, I think
the more we've talked through it.
Yeah.
Moving on, Draven was another one where I'm not 100% sure on the Trinity Force. It's like the recursive like pump effect is nice there, but you're also not really racing that much. It's more about just winning the combats. I mean, obviously against Draven, you just win the combats, right? It's Smile.
Yeah, right.
But that's that's largely been it. As they're moving into more of the tentacle build, I think you're kind of just more likely to beat them pound for pound with your cards, which was not really the case in some of the earlier builds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would feel completely fine with no Triforce. Ezreal and Mel, kind of the same question on Triforce. I know I do like Helm of Suppression there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to skip all these Triforce questions where I'm looking at. I just think I'm probably going to the card.
You're talking yourself out of it. You're like, God, this guy.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's some of my process for this.
No, that's fair.
Talk about the stuff a little bit, and if we're logically consistent, great. If the logic is this card is built for, or this card's in the deck for a bunch of things that we don't think exist, then clearly just got it.
Yeah.
Hold
on one second. I have a question here, real quick. So someone asked a question about hidden. If I kill a unit besides the hidden card, can the user activate that hidden card as a reaction? Not really sure what you're asking, but I think the answer is yes. I tagged Uno Sarta, who's pretty knowledgeable about the rules. Hopefully, if they're around, they can answer for you for 100% and like tell you why. But I'm pretty sure yes. Keep going, Peter. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. That was my understanding as well. So kind of looking back at these other like playable cards. Oh, I guess we'll do Battlefield real quick. Feeling pretty confident about this split. I like Starspring game 1, Dace going second, Seat going first. I do need to reach out to a couple other like key players and ask them, is this in fact what other people have been doing?
Mm-hmm.
Seat being on the play, we are reasonably likely to double conquer.
Yeah.
Similarly, Starspring, I think the Starspring is going to necessitate the third first mate, because that also is pretty good at letting you double conquer game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Starspring with the first mate and a 2-drop going first is a really, really, really powerful start that a lot of decks are really going to struggle with. Then I like Dace a lot going second, because it's a good way to use the extra green or the extra energy that you get for going second. Like play a 2-drop on turn 1, or even a first mate on turn 1, and then pick it up and play a double 2-drop, or pick it up and play your chosen E. Just a nice curve, and your body uses the 2-might Sand Soldier really, really well, because obviously you're 4-might on defense, and a 2-might unit parked on a battlefield is very much a real card in this deck, so it's just full on drawing an extra card.
Yeah, the only thing I'm curious about is like now that we're not like it's possible that it's fine, but the only thing I'm concerned about is if we're not playing Scuttle Crab, the mileage that we're going to get out of Emperor's Dais is going to be a lot less. But I could see it like being fine still, but I agree.
That was my main concern with that as well. Is the crab gets like a little bit better, but I think Steel Paws existing means you're allowed to not play maximum crabs. Because like I'm not like I plan on drawing up a list of scenarios where I like playing the crab, and it's basically if I have Emperor's Dace and I'm going first, or if my opponent didn't play a unit on turn 1.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm just seeing a lot of lists that have cut Emperor's Dais for. Like, this is probably the second list I've seen. I'm just looking at it from the Ottawa tournament. They've cut Emperor's Dais for Grove. Now, I don't really like Grove that much, but if I was playing a deck, Mastery is the deck to use that the best. But, I mean,
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
just
that's
kind of
better than
scared of the
this.
whole battlefields like that. They just feel really high variance to me.
Yeah.
I hate that card.
I mean, if you play it and then you don't have a turn 1 play, like, you probably lose, right? Like,
I'd rather play Start to Peak at that point, so I don't have to feel
That
miserable
was
if my opponent draws a card.
that was the one that Mo originally played too, and it's nice. I don't mind it, but I don't know. I was missing the Star Spring a lot, and then just like some games you have Seed of Power game 1 and you're going second, it just feels kind of disastrous. I don't really like Emperor's game 1 either.
Yeah, Start to Peak, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, no, Emperor's Days, it's just a weird card to be like. That would be maybe I would just pay attention to that, like, how often do you use it, or like how often does your opponent use it, and if one number's one really high one way or the other, like that might like influence your decision. But like, for example, I could see giving Emperor's Days to Rengar really bad, right? Like,
Yeah, it's definitely scariest against Rengar. And when I was playing Rengar, I was game wanting the days and was very happy about it.
yeah, so like that might be something I would pay attention to.
Yeah, it's awkward because it's trying to find a good battlefield for going second. It's just impossible because going second sucks.
Except if you play Tentacles, then it's broken.
I don't know if I agree with it. In fact, I know that I don't agree with that.
I know that I don't agree with that. You know what, Peter? I agree with you. But...
How many runes do you want to play after your opponent's taken their first turn? Do you want 4 or 3? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be at 2 on turn 2. What'll you be at? Don't answer that as a you. Actually, don't answer that.
Yeah, so one thing that I would really be interested in too is trying to fit more of both decrees in the deck. Orange Decree, I think that card is just obnoxiously good.
Card's bonkers.
I am inclined to agree. I'm a little worried that it is. I would have to look at some of the mapping because it's incredible against Lux. If Lux is existing, I would like a lot of that.
Yeah.
But if it's just for like Diana as,
yeah, that would be like the thing.
I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, that'd be the thing to pay attention to. Is like maybe watch this weekend. Like, how much Lux and Ezreal and Diana is there this weekend? It's like, well, I mean, if there ain't shit for Diana, then it's bad. But fuck, dude, taking away like breaks their back a lot of the time. You know.
Yep.
Well, it just like sets up the craziest turns. Like a lot of the time against like I feel like against Diana or against these decks that just have like big go off turns with like a Moonfall in a way is like the ability to just like not have to worry about that for such a low cost while you still get to like develop your board is so good.
It does it recycle?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. No power cost is incredible for this card.
Yeah, that's why I like the Green Decree so much too. I was actually looking like.
Yep.
And the Green Decree's less good against Rek'Sai and Rengar, but like the big thing, like for example, the games I've lost with Master Yi, like against those decks, are like the games where they catch you with a Falling Star and like kill your Yi or your Rengar. This countering Falling Star almost 100% of the time is so valuable, especially with no recycle cost. Like I'm hesitant to not play one at least, you know.
Yeah,
so.
especially if I see a good amount of Draven this weekend, I'm gonna play a lot of it. At least one, possibly 2.
Yeah, just one mana non-recycling right to the top of the list. That's so powerful.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Yeah, that's a big one I would be definitely interested in. I don't like Repulse very much. I think that card's like I don't know if
we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but
yeah,
not a fan. I was thinking of Unyielding Spirit when I chose her. Yeah, I don't like this card at all.
I think that card reads much better than it is.
Repulse. Oh yeah.
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 Do I hate the Unyielding Spirit? What is the words on Unyielding Spirit? Prevent all damage to be dealt by spells this turn, so it counters Falling Star, right?
Sounds right. Yeah, counters Falling Star, counters unchecked power.
Unchecked power, I guess, would be annoying, but the big one would
It's
be
like,
that
it's like the one thing that answers that, but I haven't been hit by unchecked power once, so whatever.
I had someone cast Unchecked Power against me last time. I flashed it.
Yeah, incredible.
I won that game, by the way.
Yeah, really.
Oh, did you?
But if we were gonna play Unyielding Spirit, I think I would play Green Decree before I play the first Unyielding Spirit. They're close to the same card, and one recycles, one doesn't. So. Yeah, keep going.
Pretty interested in the Vilemaw. I don't know. It's
I don't think I've ever heard that in my life.
I lost to a Azir in Pittsburgh where like I have stupid Fiora instead of like any sort of go wide thing.
Yeah.
And I just get kind of blasted. Whereas like this plus the Defy for a Hidden Blade is lights out against a lot of the random decks. I don't know. In Vancouver I played against a lot of people would say off meta decks, and this card is just incredible against a bunch of those. Incredible against Azir, incredible against Vi, incredible against Ivern.
Yeah.
Do I expect to play against a lot of this stuff? No. but it's nice to have outs to like these things that are kind of good at what I'm naturally doing. But on the fence, maybe if I have a perfect deck and all the mapping is awesome and I have 9 cards on my sideboard, maybe.
I was gonna say you're just rolling the dice with that card every time you play it.
Yep.
I had that card in Vancouver, and I would have rather had a cob of corn in my hand than that.
Joe, you always want a cob of corn, though. Let's be honest. Come on, buddy. I've seen you IRL. Come on.
Lord.
Realistically, I think I want about 3 cards that say gear in the sideboard, whether it's 2 rakes and an auction or 2 auctions and a rake, whatever. 1 to 2 extra pieces of removal, whether that's an extra alpha strike that I'm boarding in, or the first copy I'm boarding in, second rampage. I don't think I'm playing 2 rampages in the main deck, but I like the second on the board quite a bit.
Really? I like lists that have like 2/2 or 2/1 with a second in the board or something like. I really am a big fan of both rampage and onslaught.
Yeah, those are. If I'm adding anything, it is probably those cards. So that is certainly on the short list. These other some mix of utility spells, whatever not so fast unyielding spirit decree use.
Yeah, I think it might be easier to start with what we don't like, and that's like we said, Fiora, Triforce, Hollow Suppression.
Yep,
that's gonna be really easy, I think.
So all kind of we'll say that we're in the world where we know that we're not worrying about looks as much.
Yeah. I do like Vile Mob for it, so I do understand what Joey's saying though too. Like sometimes you cast it for 8 mana and then they fucking blast it, and it's like, well, what am I doing?
Do anything to it.
Well, I think the game is over. If that
that's what I mean.
I spent 8 mana and my one card that could win me the game did literally nothing.
Yes.
We'll go to the next one.
I also can't envision us untapping with that card and losing though either, for what it's worth.
Yeah, if that thing is on a battlefield and you untap and you lose, I just have to imagine you hemorrhaged at the table.
Yeah. I wonder if it gets better with like more zone. Like since we're on 2 Zonias, maybe that card gets a little bit better. But oh man, I do like that card.
I mean, Zonias is good, but like by the time Vilemont comes down and like if your Zonias have done literally anything, if those have touched the battlefield, there's a good chance you're like, I don't know, that card rotting away in your hand waiting for a Vilemont to come down sounds horrible.
Not great. Yeah, I agree.
Like, they gotta have this hourglass for my fucking 8-drop.
Yeah, that's like when.
I hope nothing else dies.
What was it? That fucking dragon that we played for a long time, White Flame Protector. That card was the best card. Oh,
that card's way better. Get that guy back in. Where's my dragon at?
I like that card a lot though too. That card is nice.
Plus 8, LCNL.
8 is so much.
I don't know, dude. Onslaught's like half the mana, and it basically does that.
Yeah.
That card's crazy.
So like this configuration hits most of the bases I want to cover. We still have 1 extra slot, so we could play one sort of point accelerator thing.
Wait, I can't see. Hold on. What is your what's your split on Rake Auction?
2-1.
2 Rake, 1 Auction.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this, and as you guys know from our days leading into Vancouver, I'm a Disarming Rake stan. I was there the whole time. That was my ride or die. I think Auction is just strictly better now. Like now the equipment is like stuff you actually just want to take like 80% of the time.
Yeah, my biggest concern with that is like if I auction a last rites or something and then it gets star-crossed or gets like interacted with in some way, I don't know. I just want to jam the rake, have it kill the last rites or whatever, and then if they interact with it, I don't care. I can pick it back up with the days. I have some of these options.
Wait.
Dude, but like,
go ahead.
If they don't, yeah, but at the same time, like, if they don't star-cross that thing, wow. That shit is curtains.
All right, Peter, hear me out. Type in into your search bar, Barbara. Look at this card.
Peter, do me a favor. Do not do that.
Hater. I'm not playing this card.
That card is ass. Do not
Peter,
play
do me a favor. You have about 13 seconds to get that shit off my screen.
Yep.
Do not play that card.
No thanks.
And the goal is general gear hate. Auction is the biggest fraud, but auction could be good for certain matchups. I mean, yeah, auction like single-handedly is like one of your best cards against Aurelia for what it's.
Yeah,
I think Aurelia specifically, I really like auction.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm a generational auction hater. Like, I thought playing that card was egregious over Disarming Rake for a long time. But, like, dude, these gear are getting a little, they're getting a little preposterous. Like, we might as well just steal them.
I don't know. I kind of agree with Peter. Like, I would be concerned about getting my auction Starcross, and then they take their last rights play it, equip it to a Rasa, take another Rasa.
Well, get the Vile mod of the deck. If Starcrossed is our worry.
I would not board Vile Mine against any purple deck.
All right, let's get all the units out of the deck. Let's get Starcrossed.
My bad. I did say die to Doomblade. That is.
We're dying to Doomblade. I will say, dying to Doomblade is more relevant if their stack decks are basically 8 Sphinx's Revelations.
I mean, to be fair to the dying to Doomblade argument, this deck is a bunch of things that are going to score a point and then die to Doomblade or die to 2 Doomblades.
Die to Doomblade to get resurrected to run in again.
You just make these exchanges and then you win.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's more nuance. Obviously, more nuance to it than that, but it is a lot of just you make these like favorable exchanges where you're up a little bit, you're up something, you're up a point, you're up a buff, you're up a card maybe.
Yeah.
You're up
also,
a rune.
Okay, hold on. Like going back a little bit. Hold on. If they're star-crossing your backlined Akshan, wow. We are on that battlefield.
That is actually Joey's got a good point.
Like what? Like these guys are spending 3 mana for not the battlefield to get their card back. They're spending 3 mana to get a Last Rites back.
I mean that's true, but like I don't know, you just don't have to worry about it with the rig.
For what it's worth,
you know what I'm doing? I'm recasting that guy.
I would say I'm playing 2 Rake. I'm never playing less. I'm curious if I want to play 2 Akshan before I
like it. Run them.
I think I like 2 too. I think I'm getting convinced to increase our Akshan count, but not cut our Rake count. So like I like 2 too.
Gear are crazy.
This feels at least mostly clean to me. I think so. I guess to be clear with this build, this is a lot of this is a world where Lux doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't think we need Lux. I don't think we.
Yeah, I think we can live in that
world.
world.
If you play into Lux, you're gonna have what I had, which is you paired into Ivern and you lose. So I mean,
yep.
It is what it is. It sucks, but damn.
It is what it is. Like people play Jund with Tron in the format.
They got 2 boils in their sideboard and 2 sowing salts and a prayer.
Brothers were loading into 3%ers in 2012. I can handle it in 2026.
Yeah, I would say that I played against maybe 4 or 5 real decks, quote unquote real decks in Vancouver, and then I played against all kinds of B tier, C tier decks or whatever. Not that the feed and tree matters on that. And then Hartford, I played against Aurora 4 times. It was not particularly highly represented, but
I guess
it was half of my tournament.
The only thing that stands out to me is the Vile Maw, and if I was going to cut anything, that's where I'm starting. And I wonder if we're supposed to have something like the 1 copy of does Unyielding Spirit stop? Unyielding Spirit stops Elder Dragon, right?
Yep. Yeah, similar to the Not So Fast in that spot. I'm also not a huge fan of the Not So Fast, but it's okay. It has its spots.
It's worth playing, but I hate it so much.
Yeah. I was am I going to board this in against a purple deck because they could rebuke me? I don't know. Seems suspect, but that's going to be my big thing is doing a couple focus tested matchups in the next couple days and do the mapping and see how that informs any additional deck building.
Yeah, I have time Thursday if you want to do it on stream. I have coaching with Scar tomorrow, but I can definitely do it Thursday if you want to jump on.
Yeah, that sounds good. Even if it's just play them that full best of 3 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We can do that Thursday.
So, historically been winning the matchup a lot, more than I feel like I should in set 3.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely interested to.
I think what we should do is cut the Vile Maw for a card that matters against Irelia. I don't know. That matchup is really scary to me these days. From playing it from both sides, both Mastery and Irelia, I actually am concerned about that matchup for I don't think it's that exciting by the numbers. I don't. We had the numbers pulled up earlier. I don't remember what it is, but it wasn't. It was slightly
bad.
favorable.
It was one of the negative. One of these few negative matchups.
Has anyone had to think about Astral Heron in the E deck? Yeah, I mean, I've seen
Astral Heron.
I've thought about it. I ordered some on TCG Player, and they got canceled. And I worry I won't have them in time for Barcelona. So I'm trying to not think about it for that reason. Because if I talk myself into it and can't play the cards, I'll be pretty upset.
Peter, I'll get you Astral Herons. I have some.
Is that?
I have them if you need me to bring them.
All right, perfect.
Is that the 7-drop goose?
Yeah, the Nasus card.
There's no way it's a goose, is it? It's a swan, right?
Well, I imagine it's a heron.
Oh, a heron's a bird? Oh, okay.
I didn't know, Sean. I had to Google it. I'm not.
Wait, does this card not cost a power to play? Oh shit!
Power. Not bad.
I thought heron was a drug.
Yeah, that's what I know. That's a girl. That's like a girl superhero, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I like this card a lot. I think it's very powerful. I would want to build the deck differently.
Yeah,
Like,
that would make me want to play more
you-
cards like Vilemon shit in it.
Yeah, I want double power cards if I'm playing this. But I do think it's nice. It's on my like short list of cards to try out.
Yeah.
If I don't have the time to lab it before Barcelona, I will at least put an evening of testing into this for LA.
Yeah, I think I would cut the Vilemon, and let me just double check. Like, what do we think is like good against Irelia?
Oh, I had it pulled up earlier. This is my choice. I'm curious what you think. Crumbling Sands.
So the games I've been winning is with Akali or Irelia into Mastery always include Akali, and what I think I want is another way to get Akali out of combat, meaning probably another stun. So I think I would want like second back off. Crumbling Sands is just not super reliable because I could just walk over your stuff with like 2 pairs of boots or a Guardian Angel plus boots.
Yeah.
So I think I want to try to stay away from cards that are bad in combat.
The reliability is really important.
Yeah. So I think I like this more than Vilemon just because it checks boxes against Irelia. Now, we do have 4 Gear Hate cards, which is already crazy good.
Those look like a lot of sideboard cards for Irelia.
That's 6 cards we're boarding in, and it's like, I mean, Ruin Runner's only okay against Irelia. I don't know if we have 6 cards I want to cut, though. Is a problem.
That's going to be informing a lot of my further.
I guess I would cut all your, depending on how many Akalis they have, I guess we can cut all their charms. Like, against me, I have 3, so you could cut your charms against me, but after that, I mean, maybe Steel Paws is bad, but, I mean...
I don't know. I do like Steel Paws.
Steel Paws is
It's just a role player. He can score some early points, and then if you're ever putting mana into him, it's the same thing as like playing a Triforce and popping it on your guy just to walk in and win a combat, and you don't really care what else happens.
Shit. This dude just told me this guy gets on base.
guy called him up. Yeah, bro.
That's
64. Dude, this guy's called like he's fucking Josh Hart on the court.
Yeah, he costs half a mana, and if you ever or half a turn's worth of mana, and if you're ever doing more than that, then
it does kind of look like Alex Caruso.
But this card has really surprised me in testing. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, I guess looking at our deck list, like I don't really know what Alpha Strike sticks out to me. This card that's bad against Irelia. Charm's like pretty weak. I don't know how you feel about Defy. I actually don't like Defy that much from the Master Yi side against Irelia, but it maybe from the Master Yi side you feel like you need it, but
I've generally felt like I need it because sometimes the pump spells matter, sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like the charms and stuff out of your deck matter, sometimes they don't. Or just beating your defies.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they be dancing too, and you can't let that one slide.
Yeah. I've also not played the matchup a ton since Set 4 came out, so I'm kind of just going off.
I guess with just the way my list has evolved now, I cut my defies against Master Yi.
Sure.
It's fine, but like I'm not really that excited. I keep Hard Bargain / Abandon because it counters Punch First, but for the sole fact that Defy does not counter Punch First, I don't have it in my deck. But that doesn't mean that like it's right or wrong. I mean, I just want to play the matchup a little bit differently, and that's like I'm just taking the fact that I just will not care about On Guard and Discipline. I will only care about Punch First, and I mean in this instance I would have to care about Back Off. But I mean that card would just get me. I would almost always think it's Sonya's until it's Back Off, and then I get fucked, right? Like.
Yeah. I don't know. I found this, and obviously the full blanket caveat. I have not had a lot of experience in the Set 4 matchup. It did feel like it was a lot of both players kind of developing and posturing, and then you have like 1 or 2 really big turns, and those kind of determine how the game goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I can have if I ever win a big stack battle on your turn, or like win 2 big ones on my turn, I feel pretty good. And Defy, I think, is probably the best card at like winning a big stack battle.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But
yeah, I guess maybe we should just test it this weekend.
We should. Yeah. Well, I think we'll test that this week.
Yeah. I think Akali just like it would. I think, like I said, it'll just come down to how much Akali people are playing. That Akali changes the matchup so much.
Yep, I agree.
So, but yeah, like the Akshan disarming right, that's definitely a slam dunk, and then Back Off, I definitely like. So.
Yep. Yeah. I guess if anyone in the chat has any questions, I am happy to chat about that. Otherwise, we've kind of at least logically gone through how I like building this deck. And then over the next couple of days, I will do some mapping and figure out if there's any changes from this current list. This feels relatively clean, but it's entirely possible I'm missing something. Definitely feels a little bit more slanted for more Rengar and like aggressive unit focused decks versus
spell stuff.
Versus like more combo like racing matchups, which largely has not been incredible into, and it's like I can either put 6 cards in my sideboard for them or just hope I play it no more than once.
Yeah, I
mean, you can top 8 at X1, so that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you also just have the classic adage of like double score and then a couple good sabotage and you can get yourself out of the game. So,
yep.
They're not unwinnable. At least it's not like you're fucking Juntron, you know. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's at worst 35%.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, vibe based number, of course. I'm not gonna say there's hard science behind that number, but.
Yeah, I mean, as far as yields go, I like this. I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, so looks good to me.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Peter?
Not really that I can think of. I'm just going to be playing more games, going to Barcelona. We leave a week from today. Pretty excited.
All right. Well, Jack, Joey, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, I kind of want to end stream a little bit early tonight. I want to get back to writing my article. So
protect your dreams under our roof.
I mean, I think
I like Sapphire.
I think the format's in a really cool place. I'm excited to see how Barcelona specifically evens out to see what mostly to see just like how these RQs are getting shaped, legend wise. But format's sweet. I think a good starting point for anyone right now is like choose one of the 3 more powerful decks that you've seen and just give them a try. See which ones you enjoy. I think Kennen is probably like one of the better starting points just because it plays in a very rewarding way and people like that stuff. But I also think Yi and Irelia are crazy good.
Yep.
Being in combat's good, it turns out, in a combat-based game. So
yeah, it turns out winning combat.
Either make your guys huge or put 1,000 units into play, and you're probably in a decent spot.
Yeah.
It's also very skill testing, and I'm enjoying how on the board the format is.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right, Jack. Anything else?
No, I think I've said my piece for the night.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'm gonna jump off the Discord. I'm gonna end stream, and then I will jump back in or something, hang out. But I'm gonna jump off for a minute, and then I'll be back. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Appreciate it. I'm gonna send you guys over to Coco once again. He's always streaming right now. So let's take a look here. Whoops. All right. Thanks, everyone. I will send you over there. And I will be back on tomorrow with Skura. We will be doing a Irelia-focused coaching stream. So definitely tune in for that. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to go over a lot of stuff. I will be also premiering in my article that hopefully is dropping by next week. It'll be probably a $20 article, but we'll have hopefully 15, 20 hours of gameplay, live commentary, all my thoughts, kind of everything I've come up with over the last 100 or so matches. So be on the lookout for that as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.